President Senator's big tower. It's even thicker than it was in my dream. Come on, if we leave now, we can make it by Crustfall.
Chauffeur? I'm not going, Payson.
What? Why? We've come so far,
You don't understand. I'm not a fancy top-towner like you. I grew up in the underhole. I didn't have a pube to my name.
I mean, that's fine. No one's gonna care where you're from.
In the juice mines, I was a cum runner for the collective.
What? What is that?
When Scuzz troopers raided our cramp camp, I had to suck my own dick.
Why?
To survive. I had to suck my own dick to survive.
We came all this way.
I was addicted to rust. Sold my sister for a rust.
Jesus.
We didn't have education cubes like you surface dwellers did.
What, like a desk?
Everything's powered by juice in the Undercity. Juice and rust.
You know you didn't have to live down there, right? Like there's plenty of space and resources up on the surface. Like you could have come up any time. No one was keeping you down there.
I got my district assignment when I was 18. Barber.
Barber's not that bad.
Pube barber.
Oh,
A barber of pubes.
okay.
Didn't even have scissors, had to use my teeth.
Stop.
It's nothing compared to what I had to do just to survive.
I don't want to know what's worse than eating pubes.
I had to gladiator a baby.
Holy shit. I don't believe you.
I didn't do that one, I made that one up.
Wow.
The dick thing was real though. I did that.
I figured, yeah.
To survive.
You know, honestly, we didn't even know you guys were down there. I think like a big rock must have rolled over the entry hole or something.
I'll never forget Rock Day. We lost quite a few baby gladiators.
Wait, did you hear that?
Scuzz troopers, get back!
Set up a perimeter. I'll run some sample tests. Over here. It's rust. They can't be far. This is Team 12 to command.
Suck your dick!
What?
Suck your own dick, dude!
No. What? Come on. No, I'm not. Suck your own dick.
Well. Now what do we have here?
God, please, don't send me to reconditioning. I'll go back to the juice mines. I'll eat your pubes!
Whoa, what? No. We just found your ID and we wanted to return it.
Oh, thanks.
Did you say you'll eat my pubes?
You are my daddy. Yeah, I'd do anything to make you happy. What is that? Oh, Donald T, can't you see? Can't you see? You belong with me, endless ecstasy. Yeah.
Straightest political organization ever. Oh, sorry. Let me add you back here. I was trying to get rid of the those straight guys that are on screen there.
Totally straight. Yeah.
Totally straight.
This, by the way, that's
Mhm.
what peak male performance looks like. And we should stop pretending it doesn't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That is the MAGA body right there.
Yep. That's what alphas look like right there. That's an alpha male.
Drink it in, ladies and NBs.
You think it might have been AI? I mean, look, you know what? Fair. Okay. The fact that they're all like the stereotype, you know. Let me you know what? Let's find out. There's a way to figure this out. Let's see. How would I describe this? Large men swearing to drink Trump's jizz or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. So, Fat Men. Yeah. 5 days ago, Fat Men singing "Trump is my daddy." I'm not seeing anything that suggests it's real.
Oh, that's too bad. Because it feels real.
Yeah, it feels real. I mean, like, yeah.
I have seen this specimen in the wild for sure. Oh well, move along. I suppose.
I just want to mix. I just want to keep looking to see if there's any. Okay, never mind. It's not. It doesn't exist. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, these are not real guys. However, these are. So if you were just like, if you thought that, oh, look, you fell for a fake thing, now you think that's so stupid for you to think that MAGA guys are all gay. It's like, well, that's not what convinced me. And it's problematic as it is, and I've been told this many times. It's actually problematic to be like, anybody that hates gay people has probably got some closet feels going on. I don't know. I think that it's too many that have been borne out as being true.
Yeah.
It's not to say that it doesn't excuse it. Of course, it doesn't say that it's okay at all. Just,
I mean, I would just like to say number one, this entire series of tweets is the biggest gay panic cope I have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, by Andrew Tate's standard here, I am one of the gayest men alive. I mean, if it's gay to think women are more attractive than men, hello. And it is Pride Month, so I guess I'm coming out as gay now.
Well, congratulations. It literally changes nothing. I mean, I guess I would say that the whole blowing the microphone thing, like, that's just, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. But really, it's the thing that made me go, wait, what is his description of Arnold Palmer?
Yeah.
If you haven't heard that, that's I know you have, but
oh, you mean Trump? Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is like, to me, this is just a demonstration of how homophobia is so deeply rooted in misogyny, or vice versa, that they're essentially inseparable. And
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that for a long time, and I kind of came upon it. Came across that realization, like, oh shit, that's why they. Because I was like trying to figure out why is it such a big deal that why is it such a negative to them that somebody's gay, right? Like a gay man. And it's like, oh, because they see them as like, why would you want to be feminine? Because they see that as inherently weak and bad.
Yeah, they see it as giving up power and privilege. That's why so much transphobia is so much more focused on trans women than it is on trans men. Obviously, there is transphobia against trans men, but culturally, we seem to be focusing on trans women because they are perceived as men who gave up power to become to aspire to be women. Trans men, of course, they want to be men. Who wouldn't want to be men? Men are the most powerful and beautiful thing in existence. But
see, this is what cracks me up. Well, not really, because it's pretty terrible. But like, if I adopted that as my, like, if I were to just kind of pretend that that's my worldview for a minute and kind of play out the logic of that, I would think that, okay, if I see myself as a male, an alpha male, and like I'm in direct competition with every other male, and then there's a section of males who just take themselves out of the competition. I would, I mean, I guess I would look down on them, right? But like, at the same time, you kind of would have to respect them for just obeying the hierarchy or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense no matter how you look at it. It's all fucking stupid. But this is awesome right here.
I love Latrobe. You know why? the home of Arnold Palmer. This was the home of my friend Arnold Palmer. And he loved Latrobe. You know, he turned out to be one of the greatest golfers in the world. But Arnold Palmer was all man. And I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it.
He turns into a little fucking queen. It's fucking like,
Yeah.
You've never heard him. You've heard him talk about women as if he can own them or possess them or whatever, you know, kind of weird comments. But like, he's never just like listfully, you know, kind of like smiling, and his voice, his tone softened, and he's just kind of like thinking, you know, like he's got a very clear image in his mind when he's thinking about that. It seems like.
Mm-hmm. And not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, he was giving out, I think he was giving a speech or giving out awards at a military graduation, and he was complimenting all the men on their bodies and how powerful their thighs were and stuff. And I was like, man, we have a gay president.
And it sucks, yeah, because he will not. He's the one person who won't realize it. Yeah, it's I mean, you know, of course, then there's the probably true accusations, not even just within the Epstein files, but tangential to them. The what was their name? Sasha.
Sasha Riley.
That if you know, to be clear, doesn't have anything to do with sexuality, but it is of note that he would choose. Trump would choose at that time that was a little boy to engage with. How shall we say?
Yeah,
it's notable, you know. But
I wonder what happened to that story. I got to go look that up. It kind of just dropped off the radar.
Well, I mean, like with anything, it's the, you know, unfortunately, and I think they've been playing it too safe, to be honest. But like, I mean, I guess I get it from like if you think about corporate media, not saying that corporate media is excusable, it's not, but just think about the framework they exist in. They either have to report only things that they can absolutely, you know, verify 3 times over, that if it gets taken to court, they won't lose $10 billion or whatever the fuck crazy shit Trump throws at them. And so that means that like the bosses are not going to approve of a lot of stuff that, or if anything that isn't just airtight, you know, reporting.
Sure, I get that, but you can still report that there is a person making these claims. That's simply true. And
here's why I think it may be, you know, and I don't have anything to have evidence of this, but like it might be better that it hasn't, because if in the event that they do manage to, you know, get together some actual evidence and they lay out a really strong case and stuff, it's probably better that there hasn't, the way this right-wing media fucking machine works, it's probably better if they don't have a bunch of time ahead of it to start, you know, fucking throwing out a bunch of random shit and messing up the timeline, messing up the facts and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe it work out in its favor, maybe it never comes out. That was pretty wild. It seems like if somebody was gonna go through the effort of making something like that account up, that they would have done more with it than what happened. You know, like maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sasha Riley themselves, last I checked, Sasha was using they, them pronouns, but been out there for like almost 20 years on social media making these claims.
Exactly.
And nobody paid attention to them. And yeah, the story has been relatively consistent. And they've told people where to go look for corroborating evidence. They don't have access to it because they're not an investigative journalist or a doctor or anything or a cop or anything like that. But they keep telling people, those types of people, where to go look, and nobody goes to look.
Well, that we know of.
That we know of, yes.
I mean, this administration, I mean, there's the only thing that's holding them back from a lot more harm is the fact that they're fucking idiots. But they have their hands on, you know, the levers of power that they're able to do all kinds of shit that we probably don't even fully comprehend, to save themselves, protect themselves, and shit like that. Looks like the merger is probably going to go through with Warner Brothers.
Really? Last I checked, Europe and California, the EU and California were both investigating and likely to sue to stop it. Which doesn't mean it's going to stop it, but
no.
That it's going to hold it up at least.
That's the one thing that ultimately will probably undo it, or at least be the thing that they expect their wall of defenders to just defend them no matter what. But like, you've got Candace Owens out there basically saying she admits that she was used as a tool against black people. Now, I mean, I'm not saying trust. I'll never say trust Candace Owens, but this kind of stuff she's saying and the kind of stuff Tucker Carlson's saying, what she's absolutely doing for his own benefit. And the thing about getting a bunch of fucking grifters on your team to help get you into office is as soon as it becomes kind of clear that you're not the top selling ticket anymore, or that there's something else they could be doing, make more money, they're going to be doing that. And so you don't have that. It doesn't have that wall of defense anymore. It's been breaking down pretty rapidly. I don't know where I was going with that, but so we got more Andrew Tate to talk about. First, though, I want to say that I really appreciate this elephant that Texas Governor Abbott and the GOP down there. They got an actual elephant. There's the donkeys or the the Democrats, and the elephants or the Republicans or whatever. There's some kind of stupid history behind all that. I think it's all stupid and needs to go away. But at the same time, this elephant seems to be maybe just a donkey in a elephant costume, because this happened. There's no audio. Apologize for that, but just watch. Oh. and then Abbott's name right there is just fucking chef's kiss. Well done, elephant. Just like,
ladies and gentlemen, the elephant in the room has spoken.
I don't know who's running against Abbott, but they just need to make an ad where they just show that and then zoom in on the Abbott thing right there above it and just go, "Me too, elephant. Me too." You can do pop out chat now. We don't have to have chat on the screen. I can pop it out like on YouTube. Cool.
What?
Oh, you can. So there's a little down at the bottom of chat on the right. There's a little window pop out button. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
opening a new window. All right. Cool.
Yeah. YouTube's been like that for a long time. But I think they just added this. Grifters won't go see. I mean, they weren't doing that anyway. They I don't know. Maybe some of them sometimes went to the movies that they spent time, pre-hating and shit like that. But whatever. Look, I did promise in the title that we're going to look at some of that. So that's what we're going to do. We'll look at the little bit of the axis of Epstein over there, the fellowship of the files. You know what I'm saying? We'll get there. First, though, just watch this elephant pee a little bit more, because that's what I'm into now, apparently. Abbott. Oh God. That's so much piss. Okay. Before we get into the fandom chuds, Andrew Tate, good old Cobra Taint, he has come out and made an accusation. He has, you might say, Me Too'd someone.
So it seems he's got himself exposed, and all these revelations are going to come to light. So I'm going to tell you a very factual story. I'm not Gossip Girl. I'm not here to insult anyone. I have no personal vendetta against anybody. I'm not mad at anyone who's ever insulted me. I'm just a guy. And I'm just here to tell the version of the story as I lived it. I'm just here to tell the truth. That's it. I'm just going to tell you some facts. A few years ago, there was a streamer, I think everybody knows who I'm talking about, who was obsessed with me. If I got a girl's number on Fresh and Fit, he tried to do the same thing. Every single thing I did, he copied verbatim. He tried to be me, literally be me. He was obsessed with me. And I thought he just wanted to be famous, and that turned out to be a homosexual obsession. He came to Romania with two people who I respect very much, Myron and Fresh, great guys. They managed to convince me to allow him to come. He came there and started acting really fruity and really weird. He started telling me that he had this cuck thing that was exposed. He had this big cuck scandal. And he asked me what I think about cucking and if it's normal to explore your sexuality and if I've ever tried it. And I said, look, I'm older than you, bro, and I've never tried that. I don't think that's normal. And then he started saying, isn't it normal just to try new things? Don't you think it's normal to be curious? How do you know if you're really gay or not unless you've tried being gay? And then I realized he was coming on to me. And when I realized he was coming on to me, I thought the best thing I can do is just not talk to him anymore. Because I don't like this gossip girl stuff. I don't want to be a drama merchant like he is. My brand isn't sitting online and constantly insulting other people like his is. So I thought, let me just cut him off. He's obsessed with me. He's a bit weird. I don't want to ruin the guy's career. Let me just go his own separate way. Since then, he has mentioned me every single day in every single stream he does.
So it's not about Aiden Ross, actually. That's who I would have assumed. That's why, my very limited understanding of this, awareness of the connections here. I know who all the people are. I just don't know how much somebody is friends with somebody else. I would have assumed it would have been Aiden Ross, but it's actually not.
Have you ever looked at a person of the same sex and felt attracted in a sexual way? I'm going to say, chat, we're being honest. We're being honest. It's happened.
It's Sneeko.
So Sneeko, okay.
Who I'm pretty sure is not the same guy as Aiden Ross, right? Right.
I'm fairly certain. Yes, they have been seen in the same place at the same time.
Good to know.
Yeah. I just want to go on record here and point out that
Andrew Tate wore a
Andrew Tate.
t-shirt.
Andrew Tate is on record of having said, he said this on camera, that you would be insane if you're a straight man. You would be insane not to have sex with a trans woman who looked like Megan Fox. So by his standard, that's sleeping with a man. Not by my standard, but by his standard. Just going to let that sit out there.
Here's the post. Sneeko tried to have sex with me. So I mean, what this says to me, before I even watched the video, I was like, oh, he's not doing so well, probably. Like, as far as the grift. That's really what I see here. There's no reason for these guys to ever do anything.
Yeah.
And so you can guarantee that anytime they come out with some crazy take or claim or whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, whatever. If he's saying it and it's like, whoa, you're getting some attention, that what they are, other than vile fucking pieces of shit, is vile pieces of shit who have figured out how to play the attention economy. And here he is, doing it. It's interesting the kinds of replies you get, though. You got, no, Andrew, the truth is you and your brother were bought by the Jews. Uh-oh. Then Sneeko was fapping to Bottom G. That's pretty funny.
That's a great gif right there, because there's the gif of the guy dancing. There's a professional dancer who looks a hell of a lot like Andrew Tate. So he does a lot of like Andrew Tate parody content.
Like, he's been intentionally dressing like that, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is weird. I did see this too. This was alarming, I guess. So if you don't know what Andrew Tate's whole thing was, how he managed to get women asterisk to come to Romania to be in his cam model slaves, he would do what was called, it's been around a long time, the girlfriend trap, or the girlfriend whatever it's called. It's like, he would find some chick online, and make her believe he liked her or loved her, and then she, it's in many cases a girl who's vulnerable, being exploited already to some degree, or maybe a lot of them are trying to escape their family because they feel their family's abusive or some shit like that, so they're vulnerable. And and then they believe, oh, I've hit the jackpot, this rich guy in Romania loves me, and then he flies her over, and then he's like, yeah, I love you, here, just go in this room next to these 7 other rooms where there's, in each one of them there's a girl or 2, or I don't know how they set the rooms up, but they're all doing cam porn, and you're gonna give me all that money, I'll feed you when I think about it. You know what I mean? Basically stuff like that.
Yeah, it's called I think the boyfriend method is what it's called.
That's what it is. I was confusing with the girlfriend experience, right?
Yeah. The guy takes away that when she arrives, in the foreign country where she doesn't speak the local language, the guy who did the boyfriend method on her, usually himself or his goons will take her passport away from her.
Yeah.
And all of her ID, so it's harder to escape that way. And then they lock them in a room or something.
Which definitely goes a long way towards the enslavement accusations. Like that's the kind of thing that if you may not have her in chains, you may not have her literally even locked up, but like if you take her passport in a foreign country and she's like a very young girl and she's relying on literally you to exist, you've functionally enslaved somebody. And so, but here's this little clip that it seems, I don't know, it's weird that he's saying this stuff.
The new one in from me behind the screen.
Can you guys hear that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's talking about, for whatever reason, he's talking about doing how he would do things with these girls.
So what I did is I unplugged their keyboards and plugged a new one in from me behind the screen. So the chicks would sit there and hit a keyboard that wasn't plugged in. And me and my brother, and eventually some staff I trained, would do all the talking. The girls were just famoosers, just laughing and doing this, the titties out. And they were talking to fucking ice cold hustlers. We were taking their money, all of it. So
I don't even I don't fully understand what he's describing happening there, but it's either full of shit. You're right. It is a lover boy method. Thank you.
I think what he's saying is that the girls thought they were typing one thing, but actually a dude on another keyboard was typing something else. That was
right. I got that, but like, what's the purpose of that? And how long would it take before the girls? Is he saying they're that stupid that they don't realize they're not even typing? They're just da 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 on the like.
Yeah, he probably does think that, and that women are not any stupider by nature than men. Most of them would figure that out eventually, but they're trapped. They can't get away. So, but the purpose is to get money from the lonely dudes on the other end of the connection who think that the cam girl is typing all this naughty stuff at them.
It's yeah. Pretty wild. And of course, there's people in the replies saying, "Well, yeah, Sneeko used to do modeling in women's clothing, so of course, and never mind the fact that, at least from what I've seen, he didn't really do women's clothing. Maybe he did, but like he was doing some, high fashion, I guess you'd call it, the kind of shit that most people don't wear, so it looks weird, right? But I don't, not that it matters. It really doesn't matter. I don't give a shit if Andrew Tate's gay, if any of them are gay. I just wish that, they would accept that about themselves, because it would ideally allow them to accept it about other people. So, wow, sure, a lot of Nazis in the replies here. I'm not even showing you guys because I didn't want to come across anything heinous, and I've come across some heinous stuff. But anyway, there's that. Just more of this. It's weird that he would say what he said in that video we watched and then also tweet this.
This just makes me laugh every time I see it. It's so stupid. They have no idea how much they're telling on themselves.
It's pretty wild. You know what? There was another one that had, or no, maybe this was the only one. I thought there was maybe another one of these guys involved here. Yeah, I mean, none of us are. I don't think. Look, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to speak for Morgan and Bob. We are against the human trafficking operation of any kind.
Mm-hmm. Categorically, yes.
Yeah.
It is slavery. I think one of the things that bothers me about the discussion of human trafficking is that we don't just call it slavery.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And the statistics on the sexual slavery of women and girls are horrifying. I haven't looked up the numbers in a long time, but about 10 years ago, I was doing activism around this subject, and I looked up stuff, and it was like somewhere around 50,000 women or girls are sold into slavery into the United States from other countries every year, and they disappear. A lot of them are trapped in basements or barns or someplace like that, and they will never be seen again.
Human traffickers exploit an estimated 27.6 million people globally at any given time,
Yeah.
with 77% subjected to forced labor and 23 to sex trafficking, which is also forced labor because sex work is work. The average trafficking situation, now, you know what? I realize that's a hairy statement to make. So, I mean, it's not really even sex. It's selling a woman's body to be raped, basically.
Yes.
Let's see. Average trafficking situation lasts about 15.4 months. And traffickers frequently target individuals through psychological manipulation rather than physical kidnapping. So literally what Andrew Tate did.
Yes.
Yeah. And yet, our president, the first gay president, Donald J. Trump. J stands for just suck some dicks. Trump just he thought it a good idea to let his son Barron Trump be groomed by Andrew Tate. But
great.
This is a guy who is essentially he's in the he is the Epstein files. So speaking of which, I was just seeing today that apparently they are the new director of national intelligence is got some connection somehow to Epstein, and that seems like they're gearing up to use like the various agencies to go after people that even talk about the Epstein files or something.
The new director of national intelligence.
Yeah.
The Bill Pulte, that guy?
I think so.
Okay. That is surprising.
Why?
Well, I realize he's a conservative and therefore probably should be assumed to be a pedo at face value, but he built a reputation for himself on Twitter a few years ago doing what he called Twitter philanthropy, where every few weeks he would give away like 5 or 6 figures of money to.
What name did you say? This is Jay Clayton.
Oh, okay. Because the guy that they were, I guess he was the acting DNI. The guy they want to confirm is named Bill Pulte.
No, the guy Trump nominated is Jay Clayton.
Okay. I guess Bill Pulte is out of the running then. He was being discussed for it on the news last week. I don't know what
Trump
happened.
initially named Federal Housing Finance Agency head Bill Pulte as acting director, sparking bipartisan pushback from lawmakers over a lack of intelligence experience.
Okay.
So basically, it seems like he figured, they're not. I can't even get him confirmed. So, but let's see what we can see about this guy because oh my God. Tulsi Gabbard has revoked a Biden era assessment on the mysterious Havana syndrome. So don't trust that. So anyway, she put out a video. She put out some information. You guys see this? Everybody seen this?
I have not checked the news today. I haven't seen shit.
It is. I really. What the fuck? Sorry, I just came across something wild.
We'll share it.
Well, I just whoa, what the okay. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like super irresponsible to share. It is on Twitter after all. So here's Trump. Leaked video or photo of President Trump meeting with unknown figures is going viral as people try to figure out who they are or what they are.
Okay.
What the fuck is happening? Are they vampires?
So wait a minute. Are these? What is this? Where did you find this video? Because there's lore here I can share.
No, I think there's some right underneath it. I think I saw what it really is, presumably.
It's obviously fake, but who's sharing it?
Really real. Hive, anyways, said it's not AI generated. There's a more clear image of it, I guess. They don't have shoulder pads in the original picture. Let's see.
Okay.
I mean, this is true.
It's not the Targaryens.
Okay, it's
all
not
right. I think this is obviously Photoshop. It's obviously photoshopped. Okay. What's going on here? This is a nod to UFO lore. All right.
Okay. Oh,
Which
these
is
are
one of
greys.
my one of my
Not the grays. These are the ones that are sexy Norwegians or whatever,
yes,
right?
they're called the Nordics. Yeah. UFO lore is like one of my nerd rabbit holes that I fell into the last couple of years. So the Nordics are supposedly one of the 4 or 5 alien races we have treaties with. So somebody is making this if these are real,
Uh-huh.
if these are real people, which I doubt they are, someone is posting this to imply a connection between Trump and the Nordics, because there's a whole political effort right now going on to get Congress to start digging into UFO lore. So there's a lot of disinformation swirling around, trying to get. I don't know what their motive is, but they're trying to get.
I mean, yeah, you do. You know what it is. Think for like 3 seconds. You know what they want. They want to distract from the Epstein files.
No, they do not. This has been going on for 10 years.
Oh,
this is a coordinated effort by somebody within the military intelligence complex. This started with a New York Times story in 2017, but somebody is trying to convince Congress that there is a like 70-year-old deeply secret UFO recovery and reverse engineering program being paid for illegally by embezzling billions, possibly trillions of dollars over the last 50 years into the coffers of private corporations. And members of Congress on both parties have said publicly that they began getting approached in roughly 2021 or so by people with high security clearances who were still working inside the military and intelligence services, telling them that this is real and they need to pay attention to it. And I'm trying to figure out what the motive there is.
Well,
Something's going.
If it's somebody from the military, then what they want is to essentially keep us distracted, like all for the same reason that they're trying to, you know, that they're trying to keep us at each other's throats. They're trying to distract us because we know that this financial system has run its course, and there's only a couple of ways that things can go. And if left to, you know, the general, mode of how most people, you know, decent people are, it would probably go the way that the billionaires don't want it to go. So they have, you know, they've got all these various ways that they're influencing and putting money behind this and that to kind of keep us fucking all over the place and distracted and looking at fucking alien bullshit. And, you know, that's what it seems like the most likely thing is to me.
Well, they're not. This is like an effort to get them to stop giving money to corporations. That's the weird part. Like, at least on the surface is what it looks like. I don't think it's aliens, but I think one of two things is going on here.
Can you hold on? You can go ahead and keep going about that, Bob. I got to handle something real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. We'll make it 3. We'll just give them the alien thing just for the sake of argument. Either it's all true and the alien shit is real, or number 2, there's a very organized and sophisticated cabal of people within our military industrial services who are running a sophisticated psyop against members of Congress and therefore the American people. And that is something we should take seriously and investigate. Or number 3, this same cabal of people, or a similar cabal of people inside our military industrial complex who have access to our country's biggest secrets, have lost their damn minds. And that is also a really serious public issue that needs to be looked into. And I'm just fascinated by this whole thing ever since this came on my radar in 2017 with a New York Times front page article revealing that the Pentagon had a secret UFO investigation agency after denying they had one. And then that guy, David Grush, came forward in 2023, I want to say, and told Congress he had the receipts, and it was reported by multiple outlets. I think the Hill was one of them at the time, that congressional staffers on condition of anonymity told Hill reporters that David Grush had classified secret hearings with the Oversight Committee in 2022, in which he provided, quote, smoking gun evidence of the existence of this program, which included names of people who ran the companies, passwords to files, street addresses, including room numbers, the financial tricks that they used to hide the money, the classification scheme under the Atomic Energy Act that they were abusing, tons of stuff, like 11 hours of testimony classified he gave to them. And since 2022, we've had members of Congress like Marco Rubio, Republican, Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat, Chuck Schumer, Democrat, most of the ones who are called what's the Gang of Eight, who are the 8 members of Congress who are given access to all of the country's secrets. Those people have said for the past 3 or 4 years, they've been getting approached in classified hearings by people who still work for the government, telling them that this is all real and it needs to come out because crimes have been committed and trillions of taxpayer dollars have disappeared down a rabbit hole in the Pentagon, which can't pass an audit, and 60% of its budget just vanishes. So there's allegations being made of a gigantic organized crime scheme to embezzle money from the American people. And whoever is blowing the whistle on this is trying to convince Congress that it's because of UFOs. I doubt it's because of UFOs, but it is not, in my opinion, just an attempt to distract people from the Epstein files or political exploitation or anything like that. Somebody appears to be motivated to get Congress to start interfering with the flow of money between the government and the military-industrial complex. So while Dane is off doing his thing,
I'm back. I just got back. Now I'm seeing some weird shit about Tucker Carlson and the Atomics Crooks investigation or something. I don't know, man. Anyway, no, sorry. One of our dogs has puked a few times in recent days.
Oh no.
And it was like we were trying to figure out why, because she seems fine otherwise, and then she'll just like puke. But then Jen figured out finally that like she does it when she's in the cage. The cage, I call it a cage. I know it's not. It's a fucking crate. It's a cage. Look, functionally, it's a cage. We put our dogs in a cage, okay? No, it's a crate. We have 2 crates for 2 corgis. They're very big for corgis, and they get most of their time not spending there. But nonetheless, she would puke when she's in her crate, and then Jen had the horrifying thought, like, what if what's been happening is she puked or something in the crate at some point, because this dog will eat anything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What if she puked or pooped in the crate at some point we didn't know about it,
and then ate it,
and then has just been continuously eating it while she's in it? And it was like, oh, so I just kind of was coping with the disgusting realization of that for a couple of minutes. And then basically once the stream's done, which I'll have to, I wasn't planning on going for too long anyway, but I do need to cut it shortish at some point, because I got to get in there and clean this whole area up and just kind of, sanitize everything. So, and I don't want to make Jen do it all by herself. She got the actual puke and the poop away. I can't do that, so I can do everything else.
All right, how long we got?
Let's see, what time is it? It's not. I mean, we've been going for about 45 minutes already, so probably at least an hour, probably an hour or so. We'll be fine.
We have an hour, or we're going to stop at an hour?
No, we can go on for another hour, I think.
Okay. All right. So in that case, I don't know if you heard anything I just said, but I'm going to highlight this quote from Blood Video Company and say, yes, I agree. This is why I have been quietly arguing with people that the left needs to take the UFO story seriously, not because we believe in aliens, but because somebody is trying to direct our attention and the government's attention into interfering with the flow of money between Congress and the military-industrial complex.
Let's do a thing that I've never done on this channel and I've not taken seriously since I was probably 12 years old. Here is one of the videos that's been released.
Yeah.
See what we can see here. Okay.
It's nothing. Like, what, what the fuck?
That is, I mean, what's crazy too is that anybody, a single idiot, would be like, oh, this video today with all the AI crap, like I've been duped by cat videos several times now.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at spotting fake shit, but these cat videos gotten pretty fucking good, man. And like it just blows my mind to think anybody would point to something like this as some kind of evidence of anything when it was never evidence of anything before we had that kind of video capability.
Well, here's the wrinkle though. Number one, here's what's changed about the whole UFO thing in the last 10 years is that the position of the federal government on the existence of UFOs from both Democrat and Republican administrations has changed from it's all nonsense to, well, yes, there are some things flying around our skies that we can't identify and that baffle us, that behave in ways we can't explain. And we think it's a national security issue. And number two, the credentials, the verified credentials of the people coming forward claiming to have been involved in this secret program have
Bob
become
Layton,
verifiable.
right? Like,
what?
What's the name? That Bob Layton? Is that his name?
Bob Lazar?
Yeah, he just had a documentary out.
Yeah, not that guy. That guy's from like a previous generation. The guy I'm thinking of is David Grush, who was made a big splash by giving congressional testimony in 2023. That guy and other people like him, these whistleblowers have always claimed that they were members of like top secret organizations, et cetera, but they could never prove it. And now people who can prove that they were in a position to have the knowledge they claim to have, if there is such a thing to have, they would have been in a position to actually know it, are coming forward and telling Congress, both in classified hearings and in public hearings, that some criminal conspiracy is, you take away the UFO stuff, and the meat of what they're saying is that there's a criminal conspiracy within the Pentagon to embezzle taxpayer money and give it to private, funnel it away in private corporations somewhere where it's beyond congressional accountability. And this is what accounts for the fact the Pentagon cannot pass an audit, and 60 to 65% of its budget just disappears every year. Trillions of dollars over decades being vacuumed up by capital, essentially by the capitalists. So somebody, it appears, at least from the outside, is conducting a coordinated effort from within the intelligence services to convince Congress that the UFO shit is real, and is pointing them at the money and saying the money is being stolen and you're being lied to about this. You need to investigate it. And if that's true, the money part, not the UFO part. I mean, if the UFO part is true, it's the most important thing ever. But the money part, if that's true, that is a huge reason why we can't have things like universal health care, a living wage, and all that other shit. And if using this as a wedge to crack open that funnel of money and organized crime to get public funds back to reclaim the commons, it's something the left should take seriously, which is why AOC is quietly all over this, and a couple of other.
And I mean, key word there being quietly, because I mean, like, there's absolutely no reason to prioritize that right now. In fact, there's nothing but reasons to not prioritize that. If this is the most openly corrupt fucking administration, ever.
And this administration is not going to do shit about it. Obviously, they are the ones sucking up the money.
It distracts the focus of their enemies, or their people that are against their agenda.
So there was a press conference earlier this week where that guy David Grush and a couple of members of Congress came out and said, again, take this with a grain of salt, but this is what they said, that the UFO files being released by the Trump White House now are not the ones that have been congressionally mandated. A lot of people don't realize there was a law passed in 2024, at the end of 2024, mandating in part that the US government must release and declassify all files and all evidence, and this is actual language from the law, all evidence of technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence. That's in the law. And so these people held a press conference saying, here are the file names that law is requiring, because classification law works with, if you don't know the actual file name, you can't just request it. So they came out and said, we have here a list of the names of the files that contain that information that is being illegally hidden, and we're giving it to Congress so that Congress can specifically ask for those files by name, and by law they have to be handed over. And David Grush claims, and his supporters claim, that this is the key to breaking and exposing this huge embezzlement scheme that's been going on for decades. And I think framing it around the money is why we should pay more attention to it, and why AOC shouldn't be as quiet about it as she is, because in the actual hearing with David Grush where he testified, you could tell she smelled blood. She was like, okay, she was asking questions about the money and the route numbers and all that other stuff. And he said, I have provided that to Congress in classified hearings. I provided bank account numbers, street addresses, room numbers, code words, all that stuff.
I just kept watching this video. I want to share. Whew, this is crazy. Okay. You see it?
Oh
my God.
I'm convinced. I'm
sorry.
But yeah, let's see. So like, I think this is like my high horse, I know, but I think one of a major political miscalculation the left made in this country before Trump got elected was to dismiss that hearing where David Grush testified as a bunch of nonsense, because they didn't pay attention to what he was actually saying. If you take away the UFO stuff, this was the story of capitalism taking over the commons and vacuuming up public goods for private gain to the tune of trillions of dollars.
If I had been a leftist minded person at that point, and I even knew this happened, because I don't even know if I remember this happening, I'll tell you why I would avoid it. Because it is even if I felt like this might be something to it, it also might be, and potentially could more likely be, something that's designed to discredit the left overall. I'm not saying that just because it's just kind of the whole aliens and UFOs and the government thing has just it's occupied such a specific corner of the imagination. And no matter, and I understand that I used to pay attention to this stuff a lot more. I said 12, I was probably more like 15 or 16 when I stopped kind of doing that, just because I got more into playing guitar and didn't care anymore. But like, I was a big X-Files fan, and I thought the X-Files was, partially rooted in reality to some degree. I believed it was. I wanted to believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that there's things that like still haven't been explained. I know that there's definitely some kind of almost, I mean, without any kind of a doubt, there are devices and contraptions and technology and weapons and things like that have been developed in top secret by the U.S. government that have everything to do with wars and probably population control and all kinds of crazy shit. And that's the stuff that I believe that they were happy to let people think about UFOs and aliens, because they're not thinking about what they're actually, working on in Area 52 or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
so it's got to be handled carefully. Is all I'm saying. It's like, it's not.
Yeah, I agree.
Any politician really wants to, drive as their main issue. You need to get a coalition of respectable people together that brings together undeniable, many sources of undeniable evidence that they can bring forward and make a case to the public. And
Yeah. And that appears to be what someone is trying to do, like with the credentialed people coming forward and so forth. When you were away from the mic, I said that there's two broad explanations for what's going on here. Three, if you include aliens are real, which for the sake of argument, let's just do that. But if that's true, then it's the most important story ever. But it's probably not true. So one of two things appears to be happening. Either there's an organized cabal of people inside the intelligence community running a psyop against members of Congress and thus the American people, which is highly illegal and unconstitutional and should be taken seriously and investigated. Or number two, which is not mutually exclusive from number one, there's a cabal of people inside the intelligence community with access to our nation's biggest secrets and etc., who have lost their fucking minds and are detouring public goods and resources into nonsense to the tune of trillions of dollars of federal money being vacuumed up by private industry, meaning that we can't get infrastructure and healthcare and all that other shit taken care of, in which case we should take it seriously and investigate it.
Does this have anything to do with those scientists that were getting killed or whatever?
UFO people think so, but it doesn't. I mean, scientists die just like other people die. There's millions of scientists in the country. Right? What?
But how often do they pay attention to it, right?
Right.
Like
That's
if you're
just
paying
pattern
attention to
recognition.
scientists enough, and then you see random scientists start to die,
Yeah.
Although I did watch a video about this one lady, younger lady that died. And she did seem to say some stuff that, was pretty cryptic and odd on video at some point a couple of years ago or whatever. And then she died. So it was like, I don't even, that's obviously not a proof of anything, but that's the exact kind of thing that a conspiracy minded person sees as, proof to believe in whatever. Yeah, that's wild. I don't know, man. You know what you got to do? If you had a podcast, you could like structure an episode around it.
Yeah, we could do that.
No, you could. You got to convince me and Morgan. That's what the episode will be. Is Bob lays out the case?
Well, no, it would be. Yeah, we'll talk about it off in Discord. But I'm always like 30 seconds away from starting a left-wing UFO lore channel, because there's a ton of UFO lore is incredibly popular, and there's a ton of right-wing grift going on in that sphere. Like Peter Thiel is all over that shit. One of the biggest UFO podcasts on YouTube is a Peter Thiel the guy who hosts it is just one of Peter Thiel's guys. And I think they're trying to get the money too. They're trying to sniff out and monetize top secret like technologies that are being, like most UFO sightings, I think, are probably just shit that's top secret weapons and stuff that we haven't revealed yet being tested somewhere. And I think Peter Thiel and those guys are trying to get at that to monetize it for themselves before it becomes public knowledge. And I suspect that the David Grush people trying to force Congress to look into this might be the opposition to that. There's like a little shadow war going on.
So now let me throw a wrinkle at you. Is it possible that what I'm about to show you is an attempt to deflect from any of this? Check this out. This was released 13 hours ago by Tulsi Gabbard. DNI for now, I suppose. Get this shit off screen.
Laboratories had been known after months of searching through intelligence community holdings and files. Today, I'm releasing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a U.S.-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to longstanding threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these US government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research with very...
Okay. There's that phrase again. It's been a while since we heard it. It came up a lot, after COVID, in the wake of COVID. Gain of function research.
Yeah.
You know what that is?
I forget. I used to know what it was. I looked it up at the time, and then it just didn't stick in my memory.
It's a broad term for biological research where an organism or virus is genetically altered to gain a new or enhanced ability. While this includes beneficial modifications like creating drought-resistant crops, it is most hotly debated. I'm not going to read anymore of that. So let's actually read from a solid source here. Not congress.gov, sorry. Just don't trust it. So I mean, it's the claim about COVID was that there was a gain of function research being done on that in the Wuhan lab. That the Wuhan lab, I'm sure you heard about that. People talking about the Wuhan lab, and that was something that we knew about and we were funding. Which right there, that certain people probably also believe in alien stuff. Believe in very specific alien stuff without any evidence. They hear that and they think that's all they need to hear, and that's why you had Anthony Fauci being painted as this evil, antichrist, right? All over the place, which I was so blown away. I did not expect that. And it's like I didn't realize when it happened. I just suddenly it was like I woke up one day and was like, whoa, there's a lot of Fauci hate. That, and then just the fact that they kept kind of updating the guidelines, which I mean, admittedly is frustrating. And after you've been doing certain guidelines for a while for COVID, and then they're like, no, actually do this instead. It's like, what the fuck, dude? I get the impulse to be like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, I get it too. But I thought people understood at the time, it seemed to be the general consensus that we all understood that this is just how science works, right? And because we're learning about a new virus in real time, we're not going to know ahead of time what the proper procedure is. We have to discover it. And that's why the guidelines kept changing. Yep. But apparently now people think it was all bullshit.
Yeah, because nobody's directly suffering from it from the way that they were. So now all they have is their bad memories and then like lost their job or lost their whatever. Like, I mean, I've straight up, dude, I lost a fucking car because of COVID. I got my fucking credit fucked because of COVID. Because I was working a job that required me to work it in order to pay for the car I had. And I was using the car so it was like this, I had gotten a car that I'd traded up from my previous one. It was probably a little bit more outside my means than I should have, but like, it was nice. And it was the first one I ever had that was just mine, no cosign or anything. And I was pretty happy with it. It was only a couple of years old. You know what I mean? Like, fucking pretty great car. I loved it. But I had to do a lot of, like, I was doing Lyft and Uber Eats and stuff like that at the time. And I had to kind of do that a good bit to maintain the vehicle and the insurance and everything. And then COVID comes around, and for as long as I could, I tried to keep going. But then my roommate at the time had autoimmune issues, and I just I can't fucking risk it. I can't risk getting COVID and then killing my friends. So I just tried to hold out and pay what I could. But ultimately, I lost that motherfucker, and it was really fucking. I get it. A lot of people went through a lot of shit, and I can see how being frustrated at something like that could lead to, if you don't have a proper structural analysis of how things work, how they should work, how they don't work, things like that, then yeah, I guess you could just point to Fauci and get me pissed off at him, right?
Yeah, but there was the maddening part to me about all of this is that at the time this was going on, I'm sure we all remember this, there was a huge public relations push on all the platforms by the Trump administration, I would point out, to explain what was it? Lower the curve, or I forget what they called it, but
flatten the curve, I think.
what? Flatten the
Was it
curve?
flat?
Yeah. But they explained how all of this works. They explained the statistical concept in very simple language and how it was all working, and everybody seemed to understand it, right? And we just all seem to have forgotten that in the years since then. And it just infuriates me sometimes that people are, I guess it shouldn't surprise me, but people are so.
I know you don't want to say stupid, Bob. I know you don't want to say stupid, but I'll say it if you want me to.
Well, humans, I don't think people who.
Let's say it this way.
Right.
We'll describe.
Here's the principle. All right.
People's confidence is and then their emotionally fueled confidence is sometimes and even often vastly outweighs their knowledge on a given subject that they are talking about.
Right. No one is immune to propaganda. We should stipulate that. No one. And that was a traumatic experience for our entire civilization. So it broke a lot of people's brains. So it shouldn't surprise us, but it still infuriates me because it was so very easy to understand and to remember.
And I want to point out that if anything even remotely close to as bad as COVID happens right now, we are fucked.
Yes.
Like the degree to which we're fucked, I know we can't even understand it. Because that was COVID happened and we had a pretty firm and pretty well structured response system in place that really just took a little while for Trump to actually take seriously and trigger once he realized, oh wait, this could actually really fuck me over if I don't do something. But yeah, once he triggered the Obama guidelines and the Operation Warp Speed and all that, then sure, yeah, things got a little better. But like nothing like that exists anymore. All that's been dismantled.
Mm-hmm.
They've actively, I don't remember exactly what it was that fucking Kennedy, I can't let you work on new drugs anymore unless it's heroin for me. I don't know.
Yeah, we are so fucked. And something like this will happen again.
I don't know how you can, I mean, you're being sarcastic, I think, Blood Video. Like you have to be because yeah, you have to be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are countries that are like, enemy countries kind of thing that are like actively trying to recreate something like that. Well, Melvin Sherman, hey, yeah, wow, it's pretty crazy, man. I don't know what you're reacting to exactly. You should use your words, but it's all pretty crazy. Let's hear what she says.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, just to be clear, Tulsi Gabbard should never be trusted ever for anything she ever says. In fact, many things that she says, you might as well just assume the opposite is true. But that's not a 100% rule, but yeah.
Little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world. Here at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased.
I don't like that ODNI. I've never, has that been a thing they've used before? I mean, I know.
Yeah, it's the Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
I don't like it. I just don't like it as an acronym or whatever. It's not good.
No.
So what this is actually, we can look at it because what she ultimately released, what is she actually talking about that she released? Seems like 4 pages of information that not only could be recreated by somebody with a half decent working knowledge of, Photoshop and no official any kind of anything anywhere. And let's go back and listen to the first thing she says. Okay. What is she prioritizing here? So like, as in what are the first things ideas she's trying to convey?
And files. Today, I'm releasing new evidence of longstanding U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine.
Right there. Big old red flag. Like, okay, well, 130 countries, huh? Like, oh, Ukraine is one of them. Why that one in particular?
I wonder why.
I wonder if somebody has any, not proven, but very, strongly connected ties to Putin propaganda in the past, and would want us to not be defending Ukraine anymore. Wonder who that would be. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 6 of these labs, and I mean, there are valid, legit reasons for gain of function research. By the way, the way that often phrased, if you look around what people talking about this, because you're trying to make a virus. There's different things you can do, like make it mutate to make it stronger, have more functions to be resistant to antiviral agents or whatever, and then also just to reproduce faster, things like that. And every one of those seems like an evil scientist is doing that, right? Like it seems like a supervillain would have to be doing that shit. But there are other reasons. Yeah, make it weaker, understand it better. How do you know that you are creating a vaccine that can stop stronger versions of a virus unless you have like a sample stronger version of a virus?
Yes, exactly. And they also, this is just anti-science.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Which is ironic because she's part of the Science of Identity Foundation cult. But wait, that's
like the same mentality that says, why are we spending taxpayer dollars to research the sex habits of flies, right? And then you look at the screw fly thing that's going on right now and you go, that's why, motherfucker.
I want to show you who, because I found this earlier and it was just shared. It was just the original post. But whenever I showed it to you guys just now, I found it retweeted by somebody. And maybe just who retweeted it in a positive sense should tell you whether or not you should take it, Erica
Who
Kirk.
is that?
It's Erica Kirk.
Erica Kirk? Okay.
Thank you, Tulsi, for exposing their lies. It's moments like this that should serve as a reminder why we worked so hard to win in 2024. And so what she said is, today I'm releasing never before seen intelligence revealing new evidence of past U.S. governments. Not this one, okay? Not this one. Wait, but this one was a past one. Funding for more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries, including Ukraine. And there she is mentioning Ukraine again. Come the fuck on, Putin. You are fucking too old for this shit, man. Supported President Trump's executive order. She'll be in blah, 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 blah. Okay.
That is the best meme of the year, I think.
I want to find the actual stuff that she shared because people were posting it and talking about it in here. This is pretty great.
Yep.
Feds dropped a case. I remember this now. Feds dropped a case recently about a Las Vegas biolab that the guy was not. Let me look this up because it was fucking crazy that this guy had anything ever.
I'm not familiar with this case at all.
Okay. The Las Vegas biolab contained human samples. I don't know exactly what that means. Suspected biolab located inside a Las Vegas garage contained materials to create test kits, compounds for influenza vaccines, and human biological samples. An exclusive interview, blah, blah, blah. FBI special agent in charge, Christopher Delzato, who leads the Bureau's Las Vegas office, said some of the 1,200 samples were too old to produce conclusive results. It was the conclusion that the FBI lab that the community, it was the conclusion of the FBI lab that the community could not be harmed by what was contained in the lab. Okay. Vegas Metro and FBI searched 2 East Valley homes on January 31st, finding possible biological laboratory in a garage inside. Unlicensed short-term rental. Referred to the garage as a bio-storage facility, not laboratory. Adding the samples and equipment suggested no active work. The Las Vegas garage is connected to a similar incident in Reedley, California, where officials found infectious agents such as HIV and malaria. LLC tied to the Holmes County records matches the name of the company as part of an ongoing federal case in California involving a biological laboratory there. In the Reedley case, investigators located pathogen-labeled containers with labels such as dengue fever, HIV, and malaria, along with 1,000 mice. That's crazy.
So this was
Chinese citizen David He was facing federal charges for allegedly manufacturing and distributing misbranded medical devices. According to federal prosecutors, he has not faced charges connected to the Vegas raid, and his trial in California was scheduled for April. But guess what? They dropped those charges against that guy.
So this was supposedly an illegal. Somebody was running a lab illegally.
Yeah.
And they dropped the charges against them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So federal prosecutors have dropped their case against the man arrested in connection. U.S. Attorney's Office for Nevada filed a motion earlier this month to dismiss the criminal complaint filed against Ori Solomon, or also spelled as Salomon, in the complaint. Prosecutors had charged him with illegal possession of a firearm in the U.S. District Court, Nevada. FBI complaint alleged that his immigration status precluded him from owning or possessing a gun. After careful review of the evidence, additional blah, blah, blah. Motion to dismiss without prejudice, meaning prosecutors could elect to file in the complaint, refile. That's like, why? Why would you just drop the charges unless, I don't know. So the thing to know about
drop the charges?
Huh?
Who is they? Who dropped the charges?
A U.S. attorney.
Okay.
For the Nevada office, I guess.
All right. I think the U.S. attorney is run by the state. It's a weird naming nomenclature right now, but by the state government, not the federal government. There's always some kind of legal. The good faith reading of this is that there's always legal details and bureaucracy that can get shit thrown out on technicalities all the time. And maybe they were not able to meet one of those thresholds, and so they have to start over.
Now, what if I point out to you this other fact that, so Ori Solomon was the property manager arrested in connection with the illegal biolab, no longer facing charges, dismissed without prejudice. However, he still faces a criminal charge for the improper disposal of hazardous waste. But trying to find where. Oh yeah, he's an Israeli citizen. You know, I mean,
curiouser and curiouser, isn't it?
The thing that he apparently wasn't responsible for the storage of, but was responsible for hazardous waste, you know, being willy-nilly thrown out. That stuff made several people in the area deathly ill, along with people who went in to investigate the lab. I mean, the guy had HIV vials and malaria and dengue fever, which I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's bad.
It's very bad. I don't remember what it does either, but it's one of those diseases that you'll read about in like books from the 19th century of diseases that wiped out entire populations. It's one of those things.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, man. This is USAID all over again. USID rather. It is partly, I'm sure, but like, you know, the rest of our life, even if we manage to fucking get this shit out of here, get these fucking fascists out, and start to, you know, kind of chip away at anything remotely like repairing the damages done, it's going to be the literal rest of our lives. You know, it's just going to be constant. We need to have a constant presence in Congress that is willing to fight for just continuing on. It's not a project that can be abandoned. It's not a project that, nonetheless, we're going to be finding out about some crazy shit, I bet.
Yeah. This is what we need the Democratic Party as an institution to understand that the next time they have power in the White House, they are going to have to be just as arbitrary as Trump has been. They're going to have to be just as radical and just move fast and build things, I guess I should say, because the Trump administration has so fundamentally altered the infrastructure of our entire nation for generations. If we don't, we're going to have to there is no incremental change path back even to where we were before, let alone to a better place. It is going to have to be extremely radical and even unconstitutional, arguably.
Radical needs to be just that concept needs to be just jettisoned completely, because it's not radical to correct the damages done, but they're going to call it radical, and it still won't even be radical in the traditional sense of the word that like you and I would probably.
What I mean, that's true, but what I meant by radical is, number one, that they're going to have to do, the Democratic Party is going to have to do things that the current leadership considers to be radical leftist commie shit. And number two, I meant it in the sense of getting to the root of the problem, which is we're just going to have to completely, Trump has effectively torn down the welfare state. And we're going to have to take that rubble and rebuild the entire thing from the ground up. We can't put a Band-Aid on it. And I have no faith that the Democratic Party is going to be willing to do that, at least under the current leadership. So this is a problem we're going to be stuck with for generations. This is the long, slow decline of the U.S. empire from within.
So trying to. Here we go.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I got a couple of images of the information she dropped, I guess. One of them is this. You can't really see that too well, but let me pull up a bigger version. So, okay, so there was apparently released a few years ago an advisement by the DNI, ODNI, not this ODNI, of course, but prior one. There we go.
What were we looking at there? Veterinary Research Facility in
Kharkiv, ongoing target for Russian misinformation, other potential operations. The Institute of Experimental and Clinical Veterinary Medicine in Kharkiv probably houses at least some dangerous pathogens and almost certainly remains vulnerable to long-standing Russian information operations, seizure, or damage. They focused research on diagnostics and vaccines. As of the early 2010s, they held hundreds of pathogens and was one of the over 40 Ukrainian-owned and operated business laboratories that received assistance under DoD's Biological Threat Reduction Program. So this is the perfect. It's the same thing as this fucking lawsuit against Southern Poverty Law Center, right? Where it's like, where we've been funding these types of things for the express purpose of understanding these pathogens and viruses so that we can combat them, so that we can not have a fucking pandemic that shuts down. I mean, let's be real. The only reason that people at the tippy top don't want things to shut down is because, red line go down instead of green line go up. Right. So but this is straight up saying, this is from the Director of National Intelligence from a few years ago. And they're straight up saying these labs are known to be something that Russian misinformation will target, essentially, and reframe to say, look, we've been funding these evil gain of function research labs or whatever, the same way that the Southern Poverty Law Center thing was like, look, the FBI has been funding the KKK because they've been giving a small stipend to a person that they've had on the hook working undercover in the KKK for you know what I mean?
Criminal informant.
The very information that allows them to effectively keep the KKK non-existence effectively. I mean, there's people that are in it. It's technically still an organization of some kind, but they don't, but the reason they don't exist in any kind of real capacity, or didn't prior to a couple of years ago, is because of these types of things, because the FBI always knows the crazy shit they're trying to thinking about planning. That's so fucking, and then, you know what? These motherfuckers, this pisses me off so much. The other day, Mike Johnson, was being asked by a journalist, what do you think's going on with the, President Trump says there's a cheating in California. Do you agree with that? And he's like, oh, well, I don't know, but I'm just saying it looks weird, that it's taken them, at that point, it was like 3 days after the election. And he's literally stops, he was walking before that, and he stops in the middle of the Congress there, or whatever the fucking foyer, and he turns to the camera and he's just like, all the ways that they're trying to rig these elections or whatever, it goes all the way to the top. It's really deep, and he's essentially just telling you what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just saying, this is what we're doing. We're just flipping it around, Darvo, and saying that these other motherfuckers are doing it. And it's so fucking enraging, dude. Like,
well, you know what else is enraging? Speaking as a Californian,
what?
Our fucking electoral system.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
I understand. So here's the thing. California does a thing called signature matching, which is a form of voter ID, basically. Right. They have every registered voter's signature on file, and they send about a mail-in ballot to every registered voter in the state. And when you mail that ballot back, you have to sign the envelope, and they check your signature against the one on file against the one on the envelope. So this is the kind of measure that the Republicans are trying to institute across the country. It's not as extreme. They want to do shit like driver's licenses and photo ID, and like super extreme shit. But this is a thing that was put in place to prevent voter fraud. And that's why it takes so fucking long, because California law requires them to do the signature matching, and they have to count every ballot by hand. Right. And they have to.
Again, it's the very thing that keeps these systems protected and keeps them from, it's actually kind of a miracle that something in the United States at this point in our history, prior to 2020, basically, was so devoid of any taint, like substantive cheating, right? Like, it's kind of fucking amazing when you think about it, because it's such a massive country. So many,
because of shit like this. This is why. And we could make it more efficient. I certainly agree with that, because it drives me bonkers to have to wait a week or more to find out who the candidates are going to be for any office in California. Yeah. But that being said,
you're not getting Spencer Pratt in LA, so just be thankful.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say, so never mind.
Spencer Pratt has an effect on people.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I would much rather a late, and I say this now, I was not voting in 2020. I mean, in 2000 rather. I voted in 2020, but I was not voting in 2000 when there were a few days late probably was what meant the wrong guy got in office. But nonetheless, I would rather late than wrong. But that's the thing, is they just evoke the feeling of like, what could they possibly be doing taking so long other than cheating? That's essentially what they're suggesting.
Yeah. I've heard them say that this is a system that allows them to count until they get to the result they want, and then they stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then you see the kinds of people that believe in this shit. They were convinced that because a couple of days before, Pratt was number 2, and then the day of election, suddenly, what's her name, the one that seems like probably what I would vote for if I was there, she was
Nithya Raman.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, how does I've literally seen people say, how can somebody go from 3rd to 2nd like that? And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you not understand how things work? And like, I don't know how to explain how dumb that is, because more votes came in for her and not for him, not enough. Like, what and they just, it's this suggestion of the probability won't let that happen, that the statistically impossible. And it's like, well, for one thing, no, it's not. Even if it's just straight up counting votes, some win one way, that could still happen. But that's not what it is. It's multiplied by the fact that the chances are multiplied by the fact that the way people vote, younger people voting by mail, that's counted. Those are brought in at a certain time. You know what I mean? Like, there's brought from a certain location, or maybe different locations, to the central, vote counting place, or whatever the fuck it is. And that explains it right there. That's what explained it in 2020.
Yeah, and the California this is the same all over the country, but the California system also requires that mail-in ballots have to be mailed by election day. So you can wait until election day to send your ballot in. It will be postmarked on election day, which means it's going to take like 3 to 7 days to get to somebody who can count it. So that's why the system drags. Other states do this faster, and I wish we would too. So I understand the frustration, but this is downstream. All of this is downstream of precisely the kind of voter fraud prevention mechanisms that Republicans say they want. But what they actually want is for the vote count to be frozen as it appears at midnight on on
July 3rd.
On election day. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
So-
I was misunderstanding. So I have right here: county elections officials must report their final results to the Secretary of State by the 3rd of July. The state will certify the results by July 10th. So, like, people acting like, "Oh, it's taken so long," it's like you have a clear timeline if you just look.
Mhm. Yeah.
Kim Alexander, president of the nonpartisan California Voter Foundation, pointed to other factors that affect ballot processing time in the state's 58 counties, including the election staff's capacity, equipment, and space. Even if counties had the money to add more equipment and staff, many don't have the space, Alexander said. The foundation, along with Protect Democracy United, which works to build public confidence in elections, proposed that the state spend $91 million on additional counties' funding for equipment, space, and staff, as well as for voter outreach and education promoting early ballot return. Alexander said that the pace of the count is not proof the election was rigged, but there is plenty of evidence that long vote counts undermine voter confidence, she said. And California should better explain that it is prioritizing access, security, and accuracy. That's true. I mean, if they're not, I mean, I'm not there, but I assume they're probably not making it a prior. Like, they should put out plenty of PSAs being like, this is exactly what we're doing. Like, literally show the process, maybe even before the election next time, if we have one, go through the process of doing a mock election. I don't know, show.
Well, so internally within California, they do all of that, and the process, like the location of the vote counting stations is public knowledge. Any citizen and any representative of any political campaign is allowed to come by without notice anytime they want and observe the process. It's extremely transparent, but it's just also extremely slow. And again, other states do the exact same thing faster, and I wish we would too. And that would clear up a lot of people's frustration. But it's important for folks to understand that what the Republicans want, or what the Trump administration wants, is for the vote counting to stop at midnight on election day. Even if all the votes have not been counted, they want it to stop at midnight. And that will determine the winner of the election. Because the way voting patterns work is, in many states, Republicans receive an early bump, and then mail-in votes come in, which is mostly Democrats, and that erases the red wave.
So I saw the thing I saw the other day that had fucking Magic Mike Johnson talking about, what they're really doing and blaming it on everybody else. This was connected to it. So several senators, Padilla, Durbin, White House colleagues sound alarm on Trump administration's use of election crimes prosecutions to interfere in midterm elections. So let's see. In their letter to Attorney General Todd Blanche, the senators highlighted the alarming actions taken by the administration regarding election interference, emphasizing that the removal of the manual from the DOJ website, that's one of the things they've done. They removed the manual. Okay, so I didn't know about this until recently, but there was, up until the other day, a pretty robust little section of the DOJ dedicated solely to elections crimes. So whenever, the election's going on, they basically, they're working 24/7, double shifts and stuff like that, just standing by the phones, waiting to hear of any report of anything like voter intimidation, kind of cheating or anything related to any kind of election crime. They're there and they're ready to prosecute or defend or whatever the case may be. I guess, but that's already existed. That's been in place. That's one of the reasons why our elections have been secure. But that has been gutted. Now, something like, I don't know, maybe there's like a few dozen or 200 attorneys or something like that within that office, just gone basically. That's not good. Meanwhile, you have Kash Patel talking about, oh, we're gonna start bringing up some charges real soon about the 2020 election. They're gonna start filing charges and arresting people based on that election, and it becomes clear what the fuck they're doing. You know, I mean, it's been clear anyway, but like exactly their strategy, what it is to, you know, undermine any kind of faith in the election and the process. They're going to arrest people so they can actually have anybody, a single person, to show for, you know, 2020 if it was so massively rigged. You know what I mean? Never mind the fact that just a handful of people being arrested doesn't make any sense. If you were talking about literally rigging an election for Biden instead of Trump or whatever, just fucking stupid. But that's going to be enough for their base to, you know, and to be upset and to think that they have some kind of proof of something. And it's just going to, you know, I don't even know that they're thinking about, of course, they're going to try and literally cheat in the election, the midterms, but I don't know if that's their main play. I think their main play might just be to undermine, you know, any kind of faith in the process enough that whatever they decide to do won't have a clear consensus behind people being against it. Right. Like, so if they decide we're going to stay in office because of all this crap, we're going to, whatever it is, then the people that are saying, no, what the fuck? That's, you know, you can't do that. They're going to say, well, shouldn't have been all these problems going on. And I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's hard to imagine how it's going to play out, but it's going to be very stupid and very enraging.
Yes. I can't add anything to that. I do want to know about the Fellowship of Epstein, though.
I'm glad you asked, because we're going to be talking about that, you know, for the foreseeable future, because that's just what they are. You go look at these guys. I mean, I don't think we have to. I can, if you really want to. We can go look at their channels and see how many of these guys have talked about the election. I mean, the Epstein files. How many of these guys have called for? Oh wait, there was that one time we saw Jeremy Griggs talking about it. Remember, Bob?
Yeah. No. Wait. No.
He was. Oh yeah. He was without any kind of evidence whatsoever, suggesting that the victims are just doing it for clout and money or whatever.
Oh, right. I remember that. Yes. Yeah.
That's right. So that's the kind of thing that if they even do touch this stuff, that's what it is. Now, these are the same people that have claimed grooming, you know, when it comes to a person in drag existing in the same planet as a child. You know, it's so fucking nakedly transparent. You know, they got nothing left. They're on their way out, or at least on their way out from having any major influence. They're not going to be changing any Star Wars trilogies again.
Yeah. But did you have a specific example you wanted to highlight for?
Nope, not really. Tonight? No, I just wanted to use it as a way to because it's just fun. It's fun for me to point that out. It's something I will be making a case for as time goes on. Maybe on the show.
Well, then lay out the case. What is the claim that we shall be defending?
The claim is that these guys, the same, you know, Nerdrotic, all these guys, they are in effect, if they are still, I mean, because it's the same claim that we say about anybody that's still for MAGA at this point, right? If you're still MAGA, you are at least in favor of covering up the most vast and now proven to exist child sex trafficking ring the world has ever known. Mm-hmm. At least, you know, in modern times or so. Who knows how much they did this kind of shit back in the day, but you know, before records really cared about stuff like that. But you know, if you have not gone after, you know, Todd Blanche and the obvious fucking lies he's told about this stuff, if you've not mentioned that, and yet you mentioned, you know, Star Trek or whatever that had some queer character, you know, they're showing the kids this and stuff as a suggestion that there's some kind of evil, insidious grooming thing happening, or if you've talked about drag queen story hour being some type of grooming hive of predators for children, and yet you've not talked about any of this, then you just are in favor of what Epstein was up to.
Yeah. We should be flipping, and Democrats broadly should be doing this, but across the board, we should just be calling them pedophiles. That's it. Like this group of people, this network of content creators you're talking about, we should start spreading the rhetoric around the internet that at face value, we assume they are either PDF files or PDF file protectors.
Yeah.
That's it. And every time they engage anywhere publicly, they should be asked about that.
Wait a second. Drinker's part of the Young American Foundation? What are you talking about? Billy, dude? Can you give me a link to what you're talking about, please?
I don't even know what the Young American Foundation is.
Yeah, I think it is from memory, I think it is some kind of shutty thing, but this is the biggest problem they have, for sure. They've one of the several ways they've screwed themselves. One is just being so repugnant to even people who might somewhat agree with them. You know, I've actually seen in many cases over the years some person who I would not get along with politically at all, or even maybe MAGA or whatever, say that somebody like Nerdrotic or Geeks and Gamers is too fucking whiny for them. Mm-hmm. You know, like, so that exists. And then there's also just the people that they, part of their function. Excuse me, hold on, I gotta sneeze. I tried to mute it in time, but I did not. Sorry. People that they were trying to radicalize, and they did. They radicalized quite a few folks. No longer find value in them doing the same content that they got radicalized on, because they've been radicalized. They don't care about that shit anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Their biggest problem is that they won, right?
Kind of,
at least from the perspective of their audience, they won the culture war debate. And when you win a war, the soldiers go home. So that's what happened. All of their soldiers went home.
I mean, in this case, what it is that, if you convince a bunch of people that the woke Hollywood is run by evil leftists that are radically trying to trans your kids and stuff. And the one thing I will say about some of the people on the right that fell for this shit, I don't know how many of them, but some of them I would think legitimately felt like they were going to be doing something that mattered, and that something that was rooted in real morality. They maybe were too dumb to realize it. Maybe they're too algorithmically programmed to realize they got snowed. I don't know. But I think some of them at least started out thinking, this is fucked up. We have to stop this. You know what I mean? And that's not giving them much credit, but it's giving them some, I guess. But so nonetheless, you end up years later with those people so hyper fixated on what's coming out of the political world and the propaganda being fed to them from that it's kind of like me in the stream I did a few months ago, where I was like, I just don't care about Avengers Doomsday. I do. Mm-hmm. I want to see it, and I'm not going to not see it and stuff, but I don't think about it the way that I used to think about these movies ahead of time. I used to get excited for them, because it's really hard for me to care about stuff like that and put the energy into that kind of thing whenever I see the kind of country that our kids are possibly going to grow up in,
Yeah.
And it kind of the priorities kind of shift. And so if you assume that some of these people, as misguided as they are, legitimately felt they were getting involved with something to push back against something they saw was evil and really happening, their priority probably isn't worrying about how woke the new fucking Marvel movie is anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that, and excuse me, damn. Like I said before, they think they won. Their audience thinks they won, so they just stopped caring, and they moved on to MAGA shit, because that's the entire point of the pipeline.
Yeah,
the pipeline. So the people passed through the pipeline, and on their way, they stopped and were audience members of these channels, but then they kept going down the pipeline, and they reached their final destination, and there's nobody left in the pipeline. So that's why their channels are dwindling. I mean, last time I checked the Critical Drinkers channel, he was doing what looked to me like Scottish travel log shit. Okay. Like going to tourist locations in Scotland and talking about them. I'm like, what? I assume they have something to do with movies that were filmed in Scotland, and he's doing retrospectives of individual actors' careers and stuff like that. And of course, he's framing it as the collapse of Brie Larson or the fall of insert actor here or whatever. But they're just recycling their greatest hits. They're putting out greatest hits albums now. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And any music fan can tell you when a musician starts putting out greatest hits albums, it's not necessarily a great sign.
Trying to find some information here before I present this, but okay. Critical Drinker is listed on the Young Americans Foundation website as a speaker.
What is the Young American Foundation's?
We'll get there. Let's just before we find out about them, let's find out what he's doing. Will Jordan, born in Fife, Scotland. Okay, this is literally just his own handwritten bio. Since they actually mentioned the short films as like a positive thing here. Okay. Young Americans Foundation is the leading organization for young conservatives with more than 60 years of history and contacts and on more than 2,000 campuses. We help students like you find support, promote your conservative views, and take action. Okay, so literally political action stuff.
Okay.
So
I mean, I'm assuming it's like a conservative front organization of some kind that's trying to make young conservatives. That's what they're doing.
So
sort of like TP.
The Know Your Enemy podcast, billed as a leftist guide to the conservative movement, is an intellectual history podcast hosted by Adler, Bell, and Sitman, and promoted by Dissent Magazine, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Young Americans Foundation, which asserts ownership over the Young Americans for Freedom trademarks, sued the... what the hell is this about? This is just like an article. Sorry, I was trying to find more of a... It's not what I was looking for.
Well, I mean, given the name of the organization, I assume it's a conservative...
That's what it straight up said in the thing I read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I must be getting tired.
I'm trying to find who's behind it, man. That's what I'm trying to do. One of the most preeminent, influential, and controversial forces in the nation's conservative youth movement, Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin and 2016 Republican presidential candidate, became president of YAF in February 2021. Notable alumni include, Jeff Sessions and Stephen Miller.
Shocking.
So are we getting a good idea what they're about now?
Okay,
remind me to congratulate the Millers on their child. We need to talk about that briefly.
So wait, we just confirmed a direct connection between the Trump White House and Critical Drinker.
Yes. Well, not direct, because just because they were members of this group doesn't mean anything. Of course, they're members of concert. Like, it's not as direct as you'd want it to be. It's not like they're actively, in the YAF.
Stephen Miller, you said Stephen Miller is one of the founders?
Was one of the notable alumni.
Oh, alumni. Okay.
Because even though he looks it, he is not as old as Jeff Sessions. So
also, the Critical Drinker is not an American.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people are aware of this. So why is he part of that group at all?
By 2004, there were no left-wing youth organizations as powerful as the Young Americans Foundation. Of course not. Let's see. Funding. Donors include Pat Sajak and Amway billionaires Richard and Helen DeVos. Oh. Let's see.
Pat Sajak?
The Wheel of Fortune guy? You didn't know that? Yeah.
Wow.
Big old shit. Wow. So, okay. Stephen Miller and his wife, Katie Miller, who definitely had an affair with Elon Musk, but it maybe wasn't an affair. Maybe it was like a completely consensual thing on Stephen Miller's part. Remember that's when that stuff was going on, like last year, when it was like every once in a while there'd be some weird story about Elon, and he like had left with Katie Miller from the White House together or whatever. And it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then Elon showed up like one day with a black eye. Keith Edwards did a video on this recently where he laid out what seemed to be a pretty clear timeline to me that there was rumors back then, reporting came out around that time that didn't make a lot of, people were understandably more concerned about important things back then. But apparently there were reports done that showed that, said that basically whenever that they offered Elon to stay in their, DC home, or wherever they're staying in as government officials. And so first he was staying there or whatever, and then basically she ended up wanting to, or he ended up wanting to. No, I'm sorry. She came on to work with Elon at Doge, and because that would have been a conflict of interest for her to stay in whatever other position she had prior to that, she quit that and just worked with Elon. And then there were some public statements made by her saying that she was having a great time with Elon and stuff. And the rumors were from people supposedly in the know were saying that it was at first just a friendly thing. Then eventually it seemed like Stephen Miller okayed them to, begin having more of a relationship. And that's kind of weird. Like, that's just rumor and hearsay. Okay. But then at the end of it all, essentially, something must have happened. Can you imagine Stephen Miller getting, insecure feelings? I can't. But anyway, apparently, or actually, Stephen Miller had posted something about, we're going to take our country back. And Elon had retweeted that and said, just like I took your wife. Then he deleted it almost instantly, basically. But you can still find this shit. And within the day or so was when Elon showed up with black eye.
Hold on a second. I just got to say, based Elon.
That's pretty funny. It's pretty good.
That was the only time in my life I will ever say that, but that was great.
So, but then was the next day or two that he showed up with the black eye at the White House, which some people were thinking suggested that maybe Stephen Miller, got enough little courage and strength in his little frail body to throw a decent punch. I don't know.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, there's a few little elements there that are just a public record and things we can confirm ourselves that it makes the other stuff seem like, wow, that could very well be what happened. Because we know that conservatives love to get up to the exact kind of shit they judge people for. Look at Jeremy Hambley. He just got canceled for, being a cuck, which is fine. You can be a cuck, man. Nobody cares. Just don't be a hypocrite. That's the main thing. By the way, I was learning recently the difference between a guy who's into cuckoldry and then a guy who's just into hot wifing.
I don't even know what hot wifing is.
It's when a guy just allows men to bang his wife.
Okay,
there is a difference. Apparently,
well, I know that the fetish of cuckoldry. If I'm correct, I'm not a encyclopedia of fetishes, but I think it is that specifically it's that you enjoy having your wife, watching your wife get
but what is the psychological reason behind that, right? Because
other men, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the psychological difference being that a cuck does it because there's a secret, he basically wants to be humiliated. He's got a humiliation kink.
Okay.
And there's the power dynamic that many conservatives have in mind whenever, they think of sex and men and women and stuff, which is why so many people, other regular people are like, cuck, that's a weird kink to have. We don't understand it because we don't have that kind of hierarchy kind of thing. Right. Whereas a hot wife is just a guy that's proud of his wife and wants to, he's cool with sharing her around and letting her have some fun. So there's a psychological difference there. Yeah. Weird topic to turn this into, but it happened. Now, Stephen Miller and Katie Miller, terrible, just two of the worst people just in the world, man. By the way, part of that whole report that Keith Edwards did was that they had found reports of high school people that knew her in high school, essentially. And everyone described her as a social climber. That was basically her entire thing, was just she wanted to be rich and famous, and that was it.
Okay.
So I guess even to the extent that she would partner with, Voldemort, she'd do it. But anyways, they had a baby. So they've bred, and they've put a thing out into the world. And
they've had many babies, right?
Well, yeah, I think so, but they've got a new one, I guess, or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm just going to make sure I have the name right here. Yeah. So Stephen Miller's wife shares the new addition to the family. Announced the birth of their fourth child, Hawthorne Hayes Miller. I'm gonna put the name on the screen so anybody that might be able to figure out what this is suggesting can figure that out. Let's see who can get it. See how many of you have been paying attention the last few years. God damn, look at this fucking monster. He looks legitimately happy though, but fuck him. Where is it? Hawthorne Hayes Miller. What comes to mind? Chat.
I don't know. What am I supposed to be seeing?
Well, how much have you paid attention to how, chuds operate, Nazis in particular, like the far right? How,
Okay.
So you've got an HH.
Yeah.
And you got 14 letters.
Jesus Christ.
It can't be a coincidence, right? Like, it just cannot be a coincidence. This dude fucking loves Hitler, right? Like,
and he's Jewish too.
Yeah.
Wow. See that is the kind of conspiracy theory brain stuff that I would not have lent any credence to 4 years ago.
I know. Like, these are the same people that did the OK signal because, which admittedly that was pretty clever of them. They of course, the thing is they're still operating with that level of clever. We've moved on to woke 2 now. They don't know what the fuck to do about it. The Soy Pill, that YouTube channel, put out an excellent video called something about woke 2 and what is woke 2, right? And I kind of intuitively understood what it was when people talk about it, but his video is excellent explaining why it is the way to operate now, right? Woke 1 was like, somebody comes out and makes a video in support of, trans African American women's rights or something like that, and then somebody would get in the comments and go, "Oh, you didn't use they them," or something like that. And woke 1 is admittedly sometimes could be over performative, but with the case that he makes that I didn't understand about the reaction to quote unquote wokeness originally, I do now, and in a way I kind of wish that I knew it years ago, because maybe I could have operated more effectively. I don't know, but like, you know what? We should just watch the video. Wow, we're 2 hours now. Shit. Is the main character named Hawthorne in that? Most likely. I wouldn't be surprised if that would be another reason why they do that. But the 14 letters thing, who used the R word? Oh, I mean, in the video, yeah. I mean, no, I don't. I'll be honest. I've tried and I've done mostly pretty good, except for a couple weeks ago on the showcast. It slipped out. But that's because, so the thing is, I used to use that word and I used to use the F slur when I was, because I'm a dude of the 90s, right? And that was just kind of a thing that a lot of dudes did. It's not even remotely possible for me to just accidentally slip out the F slur, because
I've never used it.
Well, I did. I used to call my friends. I'm from the South, man. Like, I'm sorry. I've said some shit.
Well, so am I. But I'm just saying, I use the R slur. I use
fine,
that.
Just virtue signal, Bob. No, I'm glad you never did. But like, what I'm trying to say is that to me, both of those words back then were kind of like I kind of knew they were edgy and that they would get a reaction sometimes, and that you'd want to call a friend that when you wanted to devalue them, right? So I understand that they both are meant to devalue a type of person. However, in my view, the reason that I've had such a hard time completely like cauterizing the pathway that allows me to say the R slur when I'm really fucking pissed off, as opposed to the other one, is because I have known many people who are actively harmed by the F slur. I just haven't, other than myself, being called the R slur by my boss one time when he thought I couldn't hear him. And my brother, when I was younger, he would call me that. I mean, which I just assumed a lot of older brothers did. I don't know. I guess I don't see that as like, Yeah, but I mean, nonetheless, I've obviously stopped saying it as like a
Yeah.
intentional thing
I
because
don't
I realize maybe I just haven't met that person. But if I know something is harmful, if I know that saying a word could like actively really fucking otherize somebody and like a whole group of people, then you know, and yes, I understand there are people who have some types of developmental or learning disabilities that get called that name. That it's still, I guess, what's partially at least, and still a medical term, I guess, which is weird. But like to me, if I use it, it's because I know this sounds fucked up, but it's because I'm kind of taking and owning it. I'm owning the power of it, and I'm turning it back on the motherfuckers that would use that plus every other slur to otherize people. You know, but
yeah, that word is like, I don't use it anymore. I make an effort not to use it, and I've more or less purged it from my vocabulary. It does not come instinctively to mind anymore. But it is also a word that I can't really get angry about personally, and maybe that's a failing on my part. But and it's precisely because it is a medical term. You know, the F slur wasn't, the N word wasn't. Those were always slurs, but the R word is derived from, at the very least, it is derived from an actual medical term. And maybe they've changed the medical term. I don't know. But it kind of, to me, it's like the word stupid or dumb, which are also words that are derived, that are not derived from medical terms, but mean
they
they're a way
they
of
were actually
insulting someone's
official. They were
intelligence.
official terms at one point, right? Like
Dumb
idiot
was.
was an official thing.
I think dumb and idiot were once officially medical terms. I don't think stupid was, but they're all colloquially, they all mean the same thing. And it's been a struggle for me, or it was a struggle for me for a while, to understand why anyone objected to the use of the R word. Like I just did not get it. And at some level, I still don't get it, but I have stopped using it just
Well,
because I want to stay current with the times and be courteous to people and so
here's
forth.
like I have a complicated thing going on with it, right? Because like I will not make excuses for myself. And in fact, when I said it a couple weeks ago, I immediately was like, fucking don't, nope, because I've seen people saying it's back, it's okay, it's not. Stop. Right?
Yeah, don't do
Like
it.
and like when I've watched, I don't watch Vosh very much anymore, but sometimes I still do. And he'll say it or I'll see it in his chat or whatever. I'm just like, I kind of cringe at it. I'm like, oh, what? Really? Like, because I know that if there's a better way to say something, a more intelligent way, than, you know, and if you're trying to appeal to people who actually still think that that's a cool word to say, then you got a lot more work to do than just saying a word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're burdened in our language, maybe other languages too, but in the English language, we're burdened by the fact that there's no word in our language that whose purpose is to insult the intelligence of another person that is not also rooted in some kind of prejudice against people with developmental disabilities. Every word I'm aware of in English,
I've literally in recent videos, like clips from heard him say the R slur in like 2 different ones. I mean, I know he's chilled one in general. Like overall, his vibe is much more relaxed than it used to be. He criticizes himself from just a couple of years ago. You know, like he overall has clearly learned some shit. And like I'd said for a long time, that his biggest enemy was himself, and that he was too young for the kind of scrutiny that he was getting. But yeah, no, I mean, I remember when hadn't been on YouTube that long, and I got on Twitter for the first time when I got on YouTube. And I got in an argument with some leftist that was just like, you shouldn't even use words like stupid or idiot or whatever, because those, and I'm just like, look, I'm sorry. I got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, that was me too. Like I still, at some level, I still don't understand why the R word is worse than the word stupid or dumb or idiot. I don't get it. But I don't use the word because that's the social contract.
Can I take a stab at maybe why? Because I think that maybe people think of a certain type of person when they hear that.
Maybe.
You know, when somebody says the N-word, you can imagine a person that would be hurt by that. Someone says the F slur, you can imagine a person that would be hurt by that, or you might be one or whatever. But like the R slur, I actively have tried not to think of certain people that way, because really the type of person that has been called that the most, in my view, has been me. You know, for decades now, because I'm socially awkward, or much less so, I suppose, than I used to be. But like, I used to be a weirdo, man. Like I was a weird motherfucker. I'm still a weirdo, but like just in a public or any kind of setting with a bunch of people, you know, you're kind of neurotypicals and stuff. I would stand out. I would try to say things that I thought would ingratiate myself and would fail at it, you know, all kinds of shit. And I would be operating on such a wavelength that if I didn't understand something in a social context, which was a lot of stuff, and I would try to criticize or comment on that in some way that I thought was like, oh, this seems like something everybody's going to recognize the value of this or whatever, it often landed with a thud. Because it turns out in the moment of being a social creature, social creatures don't want to self-analyze their weird behaviors based on, you know, socializing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, those are the, you know, and then I got called out by a boss at work, which really sucked, but you know, so I just don't know who else would, I don't know. I to me, it just deep. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and defend it because that seems like what I'm doing now, but
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. I think that the problem at the level of rhetoric, which is, we should understand, rhetoric is a form of warfare.
Yes.
Against a specific enemy. And in our culture, we don't have a set of words that is as effective for the audience, for the receiving audience, at insulting the intelligence of your opponent. We don't have a set of words that are as effective as the words stupid, idiot,
yes.
dumb, R word, etc. And nobody's come up with a substitute. So when people, so I get, I mean, I don't agree with this tactic, but I get the argument that when you are engaging in political rhetoric, the tactical use of the R word can be incredibly effective at discrediting your opponent's argument. And
well, yeah, true. And I mean, I don't know, did I say something about weird as being like I was saying that I was a weirdo. What I mean by that is that I recognize myself as being someone who had a hard time socializing in a comfortable, casual way. Anybody that called me weird, I've never taken weird as like an insult. So if I accidentally said that somehow, because I'm seeing it pop up in chat, that's not what I mean. What I meant was by that was just a shorthand way of saying that I can recognize how my lack of social ability would be disruptive to the kind of calm, you know, chill vibe of a party or happy at or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see a lot of younger people using words like, not in chat, I mean, just generally speaking on social media and stuff. I hear younger people saying words like wild or crazy is another, which is also a problematic word, when they mean to say what we would use the R word for.
Yeah.
But for me, maybe it's just because of my generation and my age, being a 90s kid, it doesn't land for me. When somebody says that idea is just wild, it doesn't hit my ear.
My brain thinks that is more positive than anything. Like,
yeah. But
idiot maxing, that's okay. You know, I mean, idiot is no longer an accepted medical term, but it is a word that, you know, that's the thing is like, that's the argument I got into that with that person one time, is they were basically making the case that I don't disagree with, that we should live in a world where we don't use any words to otherize people. Like, oh yeah, I know, I'd love to live there too. We probably won't, but yeah, it'd be cool. We're just not there. Like, it's if you give up rhetoric, you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't give up slurs and stuff like that, but like, you have to recognize that it is in a way putting down a weapon that could be effective. And now the question is it more harmful than it is effective against your enemy? Probably so. You know, that's basically the math that I've done with it. Yeah, I know that it would be more harmful for me to, you know, use certain words, harmful to myself even, and people that I love and care about, and just people in general, to use certain words, then it would do more damage to innocence than it would to my enemies. That's, I guess, in a way, what I hate to sound like I guess I'm defending it a bit. The R word is like, I don't know anybody who would take that so personally, because what are you saying? You actually are stupid, so you identify with that, so like you don't like that. What do you know? I don't know why anybody would take that as a thing against them. Anyway, I did a video. One of my first videos ever was about, you you know, when I was wearing the Captain America helmet still and stuff. The YouTuber now goes by Xander Hall. He went by Pig Puncher back then. He had gotten under some fire on Twitter by some people that were accusing him of being a crypto secret fascist Nazi. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I'd seen some of his videos and I didn't think that. I thought he had some, you know, he's a little bit young, but I thought he had some interesting stuff to say. And I saw that it was because they had started using Pepe emotes in chat on his channel. So these people were saying, look, they're using the Pepe. That's the Nazi meme or whatever. And I was like, wow, I guess they don't read up on things. Because at that point, Pepe had already been reclaimed, you know. This is 2019. You know, I mean, I'm not going to use them. It's not something I would implement, but I recognize that enough people see Pepe as, no, we're using Pepe for our own purposes now. That has functionally made him useless to Nazis as something that Nazis could identify other Nazis with, right? If enough people on the left use Pepe, then it kind of serves no purpose for Nazis anymore, right? And so I made a video about that and how that's like essentially, you know, the same reason I started wearing a Captain America helmet was because I'd seen chuds at Charlottesville with Captain America shields and shit. And I'd already seen it happen with the Punisher and cops. I was like, fuck this. No, I'm not going to let this, if I can do anything about it, I'm not going to let them fucking take Captain America. And so, yeah, I made a video kind of defending him with that and pointing out that the culture around Pepe had shifted pretty dramatically and quickly. And it was no longer something that, you know, Nazis could even use really. Still to be cautious of it, but like at the same time, it's silly to assume that anybody that uses it now is a Nazi. And I described it as basically walking into your enemy's base, you know, taking their secret weapon or their, you know, proprietary weapon or whatever, and using it on them, and then taking it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's where I said earlier that I don't get it, like, but it's important to know that understanding isn't always required. We live under a social contract, and if people tell me that this word is hurtful for them or for someone they know, I have to have some empathy and be like, okay, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Even if I don't understand, maybe I'll never understand why it's objectionable.
Dude, Trump has started calling Democrats Democrats, and he doesn't even use the B. Like, come on, man, you're making it too easy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
he's using Democrats. I remember he came up with that like on video basically one time, not even that long ago. He's like, oh, I'm start calling them Democrats. You get it? Because, you know, they're Democrat, but they're dumb. I'm gonna, you know, you remove the dim and you make it dumb, and they're dumb. And he's like over explaining it as if it needed any at all. And it was like, holy shit, this fucking mind is gone. But do you have like let's see, 20 more minutes, Bob?
Sure.
Because I want to watch this soy pill video. I want you to watch it too if you haven't seen it, and everybody watching, and kind of just, you know, hear your take on it, because it's kind of what's prompted this whole discussion anyway. So soy pill, if you're not subscribed, go give him a shot. He makes some good content, I believe. 214,000. I was like, wow, he has thought he had 21,000, but no. All right.
Hey, it's me, the soy pill, and
wokeness.
Yes, music. Yep, sounds.
hey, it's me, the soy pill, and
Wokeness.
Wokeness.
Woke mind virus.
what even is woke? How can there be a woke 2 if I don't even know what woke 1 is?
Was this ketchup bottle woke? Is this mustard?
I'll be right back, Bob. I'm gonna go grab something.
Okay.
I think you can control this now, right? Or can you
Let me see.
Didn't I add you to the thing?
You did, but I don't know how to do it. I never tried. Let me see what.
Actually, well, the only way you could do it with this is to remove it from the screen, because I'm just sharing my screen, so you can't actually interact with my YouTube, but you can interact with the window that I've shared into StreamYard.
Yeah.
So if you want to say anything, you just pull that out, I suppose.
But if I remove it from the window, is it going to pause the video?
No, but that's okay. Just make note of where it's at, I suppose, and I'll put it back when we get back.
All right.
All right.
I mean, literally, woke M&Ms have returned. Green M&M got her boots back, but apparently is now a lesbian, maybe?
Can anyone even define woke?
Woke is accepting everything that is evil.
Woke has a very specific inception. It actually originated in the African American community as early as the 1930s to refer to being aware or woken up to racial prejudice and discrimination. It resurged in the 2010s under the Stay Woke hashtag.
Excuse me, you realize you're talking about BIPOC history without centralizing marginalized Afro-Latino voices?
I mean, yeah, but I didn't know I had to be black to talk
Say
about.
BIPOC or Afro-Latino.
Okay, I didn't think I had to do that.
Yeah, that's right. You didn't think. Typical white, able-bodied, heteronormative, cisgendered, privileged, educated, microaggressing, upper-middle class, anti-intersectional, anti-ally, uncritical, performative, ethnocentrist, gentrifying, imperial, colonial,
Let's get into woke
male-presenting.
one. I know it's hard to believe, but back in the 90s and 2000s, bigotry was over. Yes, even after the Rodney King riots and race wars between African Americans and rooftop Koreans, the post 9/11 Islamophobia that persists to this day, gender pay inequalities. No, but seriously, of course, bigotry still existed just like it does now. But there was this emerging narrative of we're all equal, treat everyone the same. That was almost a societal constant. Every kids show had every race and gender and identity, and every time differences were brought up, it was to draw attention to just how bad treating people differently for their immutable characteristics was. Every white person's favorite show was The Fresh Prince. How can I be racist if I like Carlton? Racism is over, guys. We elected a black guy. Bigotry was so cartoonishly evil as to be one note and simple-minded.
That kid's a bad influence. All his kind are. It's bad enough I gotta deal with them all day long. Now one of them's in my house.
I hate you because you are different, and different is bad. It's why when people are accused of being racist, they'll say, no, I have black friends. Because as silly as that sounds, it's a legitimate counter to the kind of bigotry that we were used to seeing in the mainstream. Would a guy like this have a black friend?
You keep driving, you black spear chucker piece of shit!
This illusion of post-bigotry society was what necessitated the rise of woke one. Most of society was asleep to the problems that still persist. Wake up and see minorities are still disproportionately policed and disadvantaged because of the communities that they were segregated in. People have conscious and unconscious biases that cause them to treat people differently when they're hiring them, giving them medical care, or selling them a house. People alive today lived through Jim Crow and have lost generational wealth and opportunities because of it. It was dispelling the idea that all of that could happen and then we could dust off our hands and say, well, that's the end of that, and not address the material harm that persists to this day. Not just because people are mistreated for being different, but because of structural problems in the country. It's a necessary step that we're gonna have to move through as a society to put everyone on a more equal playing field. But how does addressing this actually manifest? Well, the same way that every movement composed of people who think they know better than everyone else manifests, by being smug and fucking annoying. Yeah, from the incoherent flat earthers to the logically correct vegans, any group of people that thinks they know better and goes against society's status quo are inevitably going to come across as super fucking annoying, regardless of how correct they are. Sure, it's more annoying when a flat earther tells you something that is just obviously incorrect.
You can't go to land on Mars, you can't land on the moon, these are not spherical rocks.
So much of the annoyance comes from the fact that you're telling people the thing that you're okay with, that you think is normal and morally permissible, no, that's wrong. Put that burger down, you bloodthirsty murdering toddler. And humans naturally have the inclination of superiority when they're explaining something to the uninformed masses. And yes, I'm aware this is literally my job. It doesn't matter that woke people are correct to say not all historic injustice just disappears when you treat everyone the same. Because unless you hold people's hands and gently walk them through the journey of waking up to society's imbalances, you're going to get resistance from the people who think they've been doing the right thing by treating.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So this is right here. He's basically making the point that I said that I really wish I understood this better a few years ago. About how, you know, because I, for the most part, thought it was really disingenuous that people would say, oh, you know, like people, like whenever they would say that we've essentially got equality and nobody who's getting oppressed and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I did start understanding eventually that no, they did see it that some of them anyway actually felt that was the truth. It's obviously not true. It's obviously fucking very misguided. It's obviously just stuck in their own perspective completely and not analyzing from any other perspective, and also propaganda dumped into their brains. But
well,
yeah.
The thing that I was thinking of, and he pointed it out, is that the dominant culture in the 80s and 90s, which is to say the white culture, portrayed racism as a specific thing, like he said, like it's a it's a feeling that you have in your heart, right? And that's the version we all learned. So if that's what you think racism is, it's not, I wouldn't even call it propaganda necessarily, though I guess it's at that level too, because it involved entertainment and stuff. But it's just like the operating system that we all inherited, and we're not even aware that it's running, right? So when we're told that this people who have this feeling in their heart against black people are what it means to be racist, and if you don't personally hate somebody, then you're not a racist. I can see why they would think racism was over at a certain point because we elected a black president.
I've actually got a clip from my one actually pleasant debate that I had that's exactly about this. I think this is the one. I may be wrong. No minutes.
I mean, it's just like entertainment. It's about fun. It's about making people feel good. Like they produce good content. Like when people watch the Geeks and Gamers live streams, like Tuesday night's main event, do you think the primary emotion that people are feeling is anger?
No, I don't. I don't at all. I think that you can look at a lot of the chats and you can see people are having a great time, but it's a great time talking shit about people that are making movies, actors, woke agendas, PC this, cancel culture that, and it's all wrapped up in this. You know, I find it kind of ironic that like a lot of times the Fandom Menace and other groups similar to will say, you know, stop forcing your political agenda into our content and stuff. But then it's like almost 100% of Geeks and Gamers and you know, it's almost more political channels wrapped in nerd stuff, because it's almost always about responding to what they perceive as being woke, which I'd love a definition on that, by the way. I guess it's not it, but like that, this is when I had the actual realization of what we're talking about right now, where I realized, oh, that's how they see racism. Because I was talking about, you know, and I basically I had to kind of on the spot come up with a way to, you know, explain it to him. I hadn't really, you know, I'm too white to have had to consider this much before. So like I was like, what I ended up saying, and I still hold to this, I think, is racism is an effect that happens, and you don't get to decide whether it is happening or not. Only people who are subject to, you know, systemic imbalances and you know, social disparities can determine that there is racism happening to them. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm glad Soy Pill pointed out that people who lived through Jim Crow are still alive.
Yeah.
Right. And I've used a similar argument about the Civil War before. That is basically like, if you do the math, I can't do it in my head right now, but if you take the current year and subtract the year 1865, which is the year that slavery was abolished, you'll get a number right around 140 to 160 years. Divide that by 2, and that's 70 to 80. So you would agree that there are black people alive right now who are in their 70s and 80s. The answer is yes. So that means there are black people alive right now whose grandparents, who would have been in their 70s and 80s when they died, were born into slavery. So that's like we are 4 people away from slavery.
Yep. I'm not sure if I even have it clipped out here, but like it was a pretty mind-blowing thing. It was like what made me kind of think, you know what, I'm going to do more debates, because unfortunately this guy is like kind of a diamond in the rough. I'd said, if anybody, you know, all the people talking shit in my comments and chat, if you want to debate something, fine, send me an email, list out the things you want to discuss, you know, let me know when you're available, you know, and then I'll consider it based on that. And if you can't do that, then, you know, I don't think you're really that interested in having a conversation anyway. And so nobody really did, except for this one guy. And he did it to the letter, you know, was super, you know, respectful and everything, more respectful than I even needed. And then he came on and you know, was respectful and engaged with everything in what I believe was good faith. I think he's also pretty dumb, maybe, or maybe he's just misguided and naive. I don't know. But in realizing in the moment that like, oh, they think racism has to be, because as he said, racism is something that you feel in your heart. And that was his whole contention with me, by the way, was that I'd call Geeks and Gamers racist. And so he was like, but racism is something that's in your heart. You can't know that. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not at all. And I explained to him my history of racism and that, in fact, it's in many cases has nothing to do with the heart. Like my racism was not based in any way about like, oh, see these black people and I hate them or whatever. It was based in, where I grew up versus the next town over. And what seemed to me like, well, that town has all the black and brown people in it and it's not doing well at all. My town's mostly white. It's doing pretty good. Cut and dry to me. Sorry,
Yeah.
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I was just
And
listening.
then, of course,
yeah, that's it exactly. It's like it's a lived experience, and how your lived experience impacts other people. If you grew up in a town that was mostly white and everything worked great, the roads were paved well, everything, services were good, and the next town over is mostly black people and it's a shithole, you're gonna think, or some number of people are going to think, that must be because there's something wrong with black people and not because there's something wrong with the way we allocate resources based on skin color.
And that's exactly what, for instance, too, my dad is and was much more, he's not like a virulent, like, I mean, he wasn't anyway, like a really super hateful racist, but he grew up in an era in Texas where it's like, you're basically, if you're white, you're probably going to be a racist. And he, at the same time, I knew my dad to be like the kind of guy that had, if he saw somebody, didn't matter if they're Mexican or black or whatever, like their car broken down in the rain on the highway, he would stop and give them a ride. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, that wasn't as racist, but he also would tell these really racist jokes that sometimes I repeated when I was pretty young. And yeah, of course now pretty cringe, but like, even still, there was never a point in my life whenever I was like literally hateful of anybody, but I recognize that doesn't matter, because what matters is the effect. Whether or not I mean it, whether or not, and that's why, people that's like, oh, well, what about these grifters? Do you think you believe what they say? I don't care. Doesn't matter. What matters is the effect, Anyway.
There is a way in which it does matter. Or I guess I should say there's a way in which intent is not irrelevant, because intent can predict future behavior.
Sure. And it can also determine if the person you're dealing with is even worth engaging with.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's not irrelevant, but it's not changing people's intent is not the solution to the problem.
Sure. Is it, are they, I mean, that's the thing though about Trump and MAGA, this era of politics, is that I believe there are far fewer people who are simply misguided and ignorant racists than there used to be. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was the exact kind of person that MAGA seized on and exploited. The kind of person that just had not been in a situation or had been lucky, privileged enough to not have to question outside their own perspective. And they just kind of assumed everybody had the same level playing field, because that's what they kind of were told by culture and stuff like that. And then now you've got people that are much more directly and openly hateful pieces of shit. And I think that there's probably, you're less likely to find them that are just, they haven't just encountered the right information yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the people who are openly hateful now have always been that way, for the most part. Like, then they've just been keeping it hidden because there was a social cost to be paid for being
what I believe happened to my dad. I've used him as my test case many times of like talking about this shit. It's like, my dad was, like I said, he never would have said anything unkind or hateful to anybody. And he probably wouldn't now because he's too old and kind of a coward, but still I could tell that something shifted in him with Trump, where he felt like it was, oh wait, this guy's saying it's okay to kind of take these urges that I've been suppressing, that I've been, told I shouldn't use or whatever, and that I actually should be that and lead with that kind of thing. And yeah, that's what got us to where we're at.
Everyone the same, especially if you're smug and condescending about it. There's plenty that falls under the definition of woke, so don't get mad in the comments because I didn't mention your favorite or least favorite woke thing. But here are some examples of things that were annoying and grating, not because they weren't all true, but because they broke status quo and the messaging alienated normal people. Language policing.
Hey, don't say minorities, say people of color. Don't say illegal immigrants, say undocumented people. Don't say homeless, say unhoused. Hey, make sure that we all acknowledge that that we are on stolen land.
Hey, why don't you shut the fuck up? Sorry, there was too much woke. I saw red. All the language changing has good intentions. Minorities sounds dehumanizing. Illegal makes it seem like a person existing is a crime. But also, like, every humane and well-meaning person just used those words for years, and they weren't a huge issue. It's probably a good idea to change them, but you can't treat the people who have yet to change like they're in the Klan.
What did she do? She tempted a Negro. She was white, and she tempted a Negro.
Excuse me, Mr. Finch. That term is outdated and marginalizing. Psst, lady, not right now. That term is inseparable from Jim Crow segregation. Hey, look, I get it. You're right, but now is not the time. He's trying to get this guy acquitted from a racist hate mob. Go talk to him after the trial. We also got the act.
I mean, it's pretty cartoonish example, but it is kind of still an example of how that dynamic, right? And I've felt that before. I've definitely come across a few instances where somebody outwoked me, so to say, where I thought I was, saying things that were considered and not harmful or anything. And then somebody would say, oh, you shouldn't, for instance, the stupid thing. Whenever I got in an argument with a person, was like, you shouldn't even say stupid. And I'm just like, fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm not kind of thing. But I mean, I would always just about actually give it a good, consideration, and like, okay, is this something that I really should incorporate? You've done it with you, Bob. What was it? Just the fact that you don't like to call people stupid at all. And that is honestly the correct position. I'm just okay taking the incorrect one in that case.
It's not that I don't think there are genuinely stupid people in the world. It's just that I think that it's the old George Carlin joke, right? Imagine the dumbest person you know,
yeah,
and then realize that half the human race is even dumber than they are, because the dumbest person you know just has average intelligence, probably. Right. But all of it's just like a nebulous concept. Like, what is intelligence, right?
It's nothing.
It's a social construct,
in it's many cases, it's very specific what people are talking about. Like if somebody, and if we're talking about politics, most of the time it just means you haven't consumed the political media that I've consumed and taken on true.
I mean, I lean more towards calling people evil than I do calling them stupid.
You know what? I've grown into that as well. It's become much more common for me to, and I feel pretty good about it usually. Yeah, like it's outdated and doesn't even focus a black perspective. Yeah, right.
I mean, it wasn't supposed to.
I know. I think it was just a joke about Jay Bird.
They may just be joking, but in all seriousness, the purpose of the book was not to focus on a black perspective, because the intended audience was white people who were incapable of seeing a black perspective. This was the book was to get them one step closer to that.
That makes a great point, because it does matter who the intended audience is. Like we should, I'm not saying we should just abandon all our ethical precepts whenever we use certain language for certain people, but like, there's some consideration to be made. There's some nuance that can be had, I think, if you're trying to, I mean, that's the same exact thing that I know that, various left-wing chuds essentially have used as their defense. That was the same logic that Vosh used with the infamous deployment of the fucking the weapon. What was it? The
tactical N-word.
Tactical N-bomb. Yeah. Which is just like obviously that's not that doesn't work. That was a pretty stupid move on his part, but he will say that too.
Well, what's interesting to me about that is that it did work in the moment for what he intended it to work for.
Sure.
But the problem
so
with
it
is
made
that
a couple of Nazis not think he was a little pussy, basically.
No, that's not what he was doing. That's not what it was at all. It was that they were saying N-word.
Okay.
And he was saying, why don't you just say N-word? And the point was to show them, to accuse them of being cowards.
Yeah. Okay.
And to make them start being explicitly racist. But the problem with it was that it was harmful to a broader group of people than it was effective.
Sure.
Like the number of people he owned by using that was smaller than the group of people that harmed by using it.
Yep. There's that math. All right.
academic definition of racism, which, believe it or not, was not the one that anyone really used. Because despite what Republicans scaremonger about, they don't teach critical race theory in elementary school. By the way, if you're worried that your news is corrupted by the woke mind virus, then why are you watching this video? But also, Ground News is the perfect tool for you. It's a website and app that, for most people, racism was, I'm being mean to you because of your race. But suddenly we had the new definition that racism was equal to prejudice or bigotry plus the systemic power to enact it. It feels weird to rank racism. One, because I'd be the best, and that's unfair to all the other racists. But two, even though it's trivially obvious that calling a white person a cracker and
like that kind of joke is the kind of joke that I've thought about when writing scripts years ago, and then just would not do because I was so terrified of it not being seen as a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be unfair. I'd be the best at racism.
and a black person, the N-word, have completely different weights behind them, it feels weird on an individual level to say, your pain isn't the same as this person's pain. Plus, it led to people saying things like, all white people are racist because they participate in a system that disadvantages people of color. Or black people can't be racist because they don't have the institutional power to enact it. Like, sure, by certain academic definitions, that's true. But since 99% of the population thinks racism is when you're bigoted to someone because of their race, calling every white person a racist is not going to get them to listen to your long-winded explanation about institutional racism, because in their
and that kind of thing, I don't know how much it happened. I don't know if it's I don't know, but like that I can see that being a wedge that the right can get their foot in the door with. But if you're just a 13, 14-year-old white kid that's never known anything about, the plight of black people in America or anything like that, and then you're suddenly seeing people say that, well, actually, all white people are racist because, whatever. And then that can put you a little socially, you can be a little standoffish about that group for sure. That's
demonstrably what happened, I think.
Yep. And that's what like the chuds that we, they're definitely just defenders of Epstein and the Epstein file, all the Epstein, Trump child sex trafficking ring. They're all defenders of that. They're all part of that in effect, that's what they seized on.
You just accused them of being a Klan member because they were treating everyone equally. Or when someone said black people can't be racist after they just did bigotry on a white person for being white, even if you accept the definition, that didn't make the bigotry okay. Why are we bringing it up here? Just to smugly say that that person's bad deed wasn't as bad as if a white guy did it to a black guy? Okay. Even the concept of white privilege, a thing that is just demonstrably true, came across like some scolding remark, even though most of society just accepted that, yeah, black people as a whole have it harder in society than white people.
Don't worry, this doesn't affect combat, just every other aspect of your whole life.
This is literally the characterization screen or function on the South Park, the Fractured But Whole game, which is an awesome game. I love it, and I laughed for several minutes when I first came across this and felt terrible about it.
I didn't even know there was such a game. That's awesome.
It is like, yeah, it's amazing. And this is, like you said, it doesn't affect anything except every other part of your life besides combat.
So you think I don't have problems in my life because I'm white? No, it just means that you're probably not going to face the problems that a black person would. What's that? It's too late. You're already not listening to me? Okay. And then you had celebrities taking responsibility for racism, like they were the ones who killed George Floyd, getting rid of good voice actors because they're problematic, pronouns in your email, getting chastised.
I mean, so he did an interview recently, Hank Azaria, with on the Blogs podcast, and he explained it, and like he at first was resistant to it. He at first wanted to just kind of reject it. Everybody saying like, and he still feels they were being a little bit overbearing. People on the internet, social media, whenever it became suddenly a problem after a decade of plus whatever, how long of him playing the character. But then he talks about how he did some, he's a sober guy. He was, been sober for several years. So he's got the ability to self-reflect and be introspective. And he did a bit of that and realized they have a point. And so the right thing to do would be for me to not do the character anymore. It doesn't matter that I've done it for years. It doesn't matter that, maybe it didn't directly, hurt anybody. But at the same time, he did acknowledge that he could see that many of the depictions of Indian people in media post Simpsons was kind of just a play on that,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to say that he got ran out or got rid of them or whatever. That's not really what happened. You played like 74 characters on The Simpsons. I think you still got 34 fucking roles. I don't know.
For not having pronouns in your email, getting mad at the lack of diversity in the Oscars to the point where we nominated Black Panther for Best Picture, introducing X into the Spanish language. However true any grievance was, so much of it was smugly shoved in people's faces and told them, no, you are not a good person yet. You have work to do. Now, only weak-willed cowards let this push them away from Democrats. People of integrity knew that there might be a salient message behind all the smugness, but it inevitably turned woke into a bad word. Oh, that annoying thing has progressive politics? Woke. This show sucks because it's woke. My mom told me I had to clean my room. She's woke. Woke, woke, woke. It failed to convince the unwoke normies who didn't want to sit around and hear why all of these words and movies and behaviors had to change if everything seemed fine before. But the real ultimate reason it failed and needed to change was that the illusion of a shared goal of equality was exactly that, an illusion. Turns out.
Yeah, so the easiest way I think to understand woke 1 versus 2 is woke 1 was the liberal facade. Woke 2 is we're now fighting for the real shit.
Yeah.
There was in fact a good chunk of society that wasn't even okay with the post-racial society that we pretended to have. One thing the Trump victories have shown us, especially the second Trump admin, is that even if woke 1 had been reserved and servile and handheld all these recalcitrant people who didn't want to change, it was never going to work in America because so many of us don't really believe in that post-bigotry society. Sure, there were plenty of people who voted for Trump that fell prey to Republican weaponization and framing of the SJW scare in 2016 or the trans panic in 2024. It was a staple of Trump's campaigns. Capitalize on people's discomfort with political correctness, gone to...
You know, I'll have to do some thinking about this myself, but it kind of just occurred to me that, like, you know, now people are proudly taking on woke as a label. That's only recently. That's only this administration. All through, however, what was first introduced as a big thing, and then up until the point that woke 2 became a thing, me and everybody I know, nobody would have readily just accepted woke and described themselves as that, except unless they were being ironic, right? And I wonder, at least for me anyway, I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, I'm wondering if part of that is subconsciously I kind of knew it was a bullshit concept, and so now that it's like being represented in a way that like I can get behind this, maybe that's, I don't know.
Well, I've always thought like the original definition.
Yeah, absolutely. The original
valid.
Les Belly, the blues singer, the way that he fucking sang about it, perfect, awesome. Literally practical advice for Black people in early 20th century. That's all.
And even the broader but definition of just, it means being aware of social injustices.
Sure.
That's fine. But then it became a nebulous thing on the right, which is like we went from, and also I think the rhetorical speed with which this changed kind of disoriented people, which was the purpose. We went from political correctness to social justice warrior to woke to DEI to.
Here's what I think actually happened. I think so SJW was the first example. That was never something that anybody, maybe one or two people here and there, but that was never self-applied. That was where it started becoming, we're going to label you this thing. So anytime, like, I think it was me and maybe Bob debating Adam and Bitch, when they were said something like SJW, and I was like, I don't fucking know what that means. I don't identify as that. You know what I mean? Because I don't, whatever you're saying behind it, whatever you think it means, I'm definitely not going to agree with you, you know? So I'm not, and the same thing with woke is like, if you're, it just happened so fast because I don't even think there was a contingent of people on the left that were describing as woke. There was basically Black Twitter is where it happened, and then suddenly was just co-opted almost instantly and being thrown at everybody on the left of fucking Mussolini. I don't know. And so that's where I always kind of rejected anything that's like, you're calling me that and I see the things you believe and the way you understand the world, so I have to reject this outright.
But also like the words, these phrases appeared in the discourse and then changed or were abandoned so quickly that it was hard for the culture to calibrate to what any of these words meant.
Algorithm. It was all being based on algorithmic success.
by the time any of us figured out what woke meant to people on the right, they weren't using it anymore. They had moved on to like CRT or whatever
Well,
the
I mean,
fuck
they
you're
still
talking
use
about.
woke. They still use it, like, and it still does some numbers in the algorithm, I believe, but like, it's not as surefire as it used to be. Me and Bob Chaos did a video, in fact, following up on our debate we had with the Jim the Casual nightmare. Because like down the road from that, a little while later, he showed up in Bob's comments, kind of defending himself, and like as if anything he said made sense or was good. And we kind of started talking about that, and it was around when the second Avatar movie came out. And I had done a little research and trying to, figure out what the hell was going on with Avatar, because you had some people like Hambly kind of defending it, I think, and then like Greg saying it was okay, but then a lot of people saying it was woke or bad or whatever. And it was one of the first times where us as a group were like, what the fuck is going on with this movie? Why can they not get a consensus? And anyway, but basically what I did notice is that even if they did like the movie, they were still using the word woke in their video titles. Right? Is it woke or it's not as woke or whatever? And it's like, I just went and did YouTube research and showed that literally if you're a chud, known chud, and you're talking about this movie, you're using woke, it doesn't matter what you think about it. And that should kind of tell you something, right? That's the word that they're driving in the algorithm. And then I think SJW is a little bit too ambiguous for them. Woke was very easy for most people to kind of grab onto and kind of understand generally what they were suggesting with it.
It's less effort. You save calories by saying woke instead of social justice warrior.
Yield more radically, radical transitions, kind of political transitions.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to say to Jaybird here, gay.
Yeah, that's so gay, dude.
So gay.
About? Anyway, Bob, you want to get together later naked and talk about how gay women are?
Far. But then they use the annoyance to try to get people on board with them and their crazy beliefs, like mass deportations of Latino people, including documented citizens, stripping voting rights away from minority populations, eradicating trans people, attacking the Civil Rights Act, removing women's bodily autonomy, associating with or agreeing with literal neo-Nazis, having some of these neo-Nazis in your staff so they can post neo-Nazi edits for your campaign videos. It became abundantly clear that a whole load of people in the Trump admin don't really want to treat everyone equally or to live and let live. And a good portion of their base either bought into the framing that made these awful policies seem more reasonable or just agreed with these awful policies. Some of these people are literally just the cartoonishly evil racist stereotype. We have MAGA congresswomen making posts that say foreign-born people shouldn't be able to hold office, plastered with brown congresspeople that they don't like. This goes far beyond thinking DEI is bad because it doesn't treat everyone based on merit. They literally just want to discriminate against foreigners who are already in Congress doing their jobs and trying to serve the country. Not only is this not disqualifying, it's popular among the base. And if the bigotry wasn't bad enough, the MAGA movement proved themselves to be horrifically cruel. So much of MAGA was about emulating Trump's style, bullying, degrading, name-calling. Once they know that they don't have to capitalize on a more reasonable person's sense of civility, they don't pretend to have moderate concerns about trans inclusion. They call them slurs and treat them like dog shit. So what does your movement do if you can't appeal to empathy? And they don't really want to rectify past or present injustices. Da 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 Woke 2. You can't shame people who have no shame. You can't appeal to the kindness of people who are fundamentally cruel. These people are impervious to woke 1. We need woke 2. We need to be mean. We're not asking anymore. Put the pronouns back in the email. Woke 2, also known as dark woke, is the acceptance that some people aren't on board with your objectively correct ideas of equality and celebration of difference. So you just have to be mean to them. If these people are going to be relentless, terrible bullies, throw that shit back in their face. If Nancy Mace is going to make it her life's mission to make trans people's lives miserable and is completely unapologetic, tell her she's eating too many beans and call her a nasty ass bitch. Oh, boo-hoo. AOC called Donald Trump a rapist. Well, cry more about it. I don't give a fuck. Also, what happened to those Epstein files, Chaya? I got a guy you might want to make some posts about. You can't be mean to Tulsi Gabbard stepping down because her husband has cancer. Hey, fuck you, you D-list moron. She approved bombing school children. You're goddamn right I'm going to celebrate when she doesn't have a job anymore. Conservative views are being discriminated against. Good. Your ideas fucking suck, and everyone should treat you like a moron. Oh no, the Democrats used to be so nice, and now they're bullying me. I hope you fucking on ketamine, you stupid dipshit. You're spreading Nazi drivel all over my slop timeline, and you're gutting people's livelihoods because you're too much of a dumb fuck to understand how government works. Next time you get a wellness check and lock yourself in a room because you got booed at the Chappelle show, why don't you stay in there forever, you worthless drug-addled retard? I think this is especially appealing to so many people because if you look at the actual policies that Trump is passing, it's hard to think anything but they hate you. They want you to lose your health care, your job. They want you and your family to suffer. They want to deport your friends. They want your lifestyle eradicated. Imagine seeing all of that and going,
do you realize that by arguing for mass deportations, you're not taking into account that some marginalized and disadvantaged people have legitimate reasons to be—
No, fuck that. Fuck you ghoulish racist morons and your dogshit murderous immigration policy. If you're not going to change these people's minds, there is no reason you shouldn't be shoving this right back at them. With Woke One, you saw people put up these passive-aggressive lawn signs or window posters. And you know what? Those were a good thing. It signaled to people in the community that despite what you may see on the news or social media, your neighbors, your shop owners, the people around you have your back. Now,
it also just, as an aside, created several targets that I remember reading or hearing about. Where people were attacked because of that. So it's almost like and I'm not saying that they deserve, I'm not blaming the victim, believe me. What I'm saying is that it almost is a perfect microcosm of why it was necessary to do something different. Because if you're just going to say, hey, I resist, and you're going to proudly, say that out loud and on your yard or on your shirt or whatever, and that's all you're going to do, maybe that won't be effective. Maybe you'll end up kind of getting hurt.
Yeah, I'm kind of where he is right now too. I actually made a coworker gasp the other day unintentionally by we were having a conversation about Graham Plattner, right? And my coworker was like, "What do you think of the scandals?" Because this person gets all their news from like CNN.
You mean the APAC scandals?
No, the allegations of him.
The APAC funded scandals, almost certainly, is what I mean.
Yeah. The supposed scandals of his treatment.
Like the woman that felt uncomfortable and got cornered in a room, and that felt uncomfortable that time. But she also defended Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. So like what I said was, I am done being lectured on morality by people who support a genocide and protect pedophiles. I'm done with it. I don't give a fuck what they think. And that actually made my coworker like gasp.
That's awesome, by the way. But let me tell you what I said the other day after. So it was the day before the election, I think, and Kyle Klinsky did a video. He's been heavily, pushing Plattner, and power to him for that. And he's been defending him pretty aggressively as well. And this video he did where he just basically looked at Twitter and some of the claims being made, who these people actually were, what they're known for, like the literal agent of propaganda from Israel who was making claims against him, right? And then the videos he kept watching, though, and of course there's almost a selection bias. Like he certainly selected videos to show that were what he wanted people to see for the most part, but it still was heartening to see so many people say a specific thing about Plattner, which was, he's done some stuff, he's had a dark period in his past, but I'd much rather see somebody that's grown and is working on being a better person than Trump, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that fucking filled me with so much hope, because I was like, holy shit, if we can actually turn this around somehow to where that's not rewarded, and what's actually rewarded in this country is people just trying to be better every day and giving a little bit of grace for those that are trying, that would be fucking phenomenal.
Actually, I think it may be the same Kyle Klinsky video, but he pointed out a poll where Plattner's approval rating went up after people were asked a very loaded question that was framed around the New York Times framing of him being an abusive boyfriend or whatever. After people heard the question asking them, well, what if he was an abusive boyfriend? Their approval of him went up. And
and one
that
guy,
was read as people seeing through the bullshit
yes,
and being frustrated with it.
I forgot to mention that several of the people in these videos were older people. Like, it's not like it'd be one thing if you see a bunch of millennials or something that are saying what I just said, but like to see a bunch of gray-haired, wrinkled old fucks, no offense to them, you're voting right, good job, saying that was like, holy fuck, this is like some kind of veil's been lifted. And hopefully it's not just in fucking Maine. And yeah.
Well, that's the fear. The fear is that it's not just in Maine. If it's in Maine, it's everywhere. That's the fear on the right. And
nothing is contained to state borders anymore, right? It's the internet.
Well, not just that, but just because Maine is one of those states that's considered like a bellwether of the like the pulse of the center, the political center of America. That's why it's considered a purple state. And if the fear is that if people in Maine are voting for people like Graham Plattner,
older people too,
older people, then they're going to vote that way everywhere. That's what they're afraid of. And I will say I just want to add one addendum to the Graham Plattner thing. What matters in that story and why we should be suspicious of it is not because the woman making the accusations is a conservative or an APAC person. It's because the New York Times could not corroborate her claims.
Right.
They went through her journals and her emails and her social media at the time, and there is no evidence of like a real-time disclosure.
In any other context of a story, if they weren't talking about something that directly affects perhaps Israel, they would not run that story. If that was what, you know, in fact, their editor would probably get pissed at whoever was trying to push the story for wasting their time.
Yeah. And like they talked to his other girlfriends, like his previous girlfriends all said something ranging from, no, he was great, I loved him, to he was a troubled man.
Yeah.
But he never made me feel scared.
And fucking, you know, even people like Mika Brzezinski had an interview with him too. And it was just like the look on it. Look, the guy's handling it like a champ, but it has to be very frustrating to just have somebody like her who's ostensibly, you know, on, you know, the left of center, but she's barely that. And in this case, anyway, she was very clearly simping for Israel with her line of questioning, which is like all the stuff's been come out now, all of the claims, and then the lack of evidence supporting it, and then the evidence that supports, you know, maybe don't take this person at face value kind of thing and stuff like that. And then also him just admitting that, like, yeah, man, you asked my girlfriends from, you know, how X many years ago, they're probably not going to have a bunch of nice things to say. I was a troubled guy. It was been, you know, what it's about. And this is another thing many of those voters were saying is, yeah, we send these guys out over to war into the fucking grinder, you know, and they see and have to experience and do all kinds of fucked up shit on behalf of their country because they believe that's what they, you know, that's the right thing to do. And then they come back and they're treated like shit and they're not taken care of, you know. I would imagine they'd have some dark periods after that. You know? It's like, that's the kind of empathy that we need to really fucking see. Yeah, to where we don't send people to do that in the first place, but the ones that have to go or have gone, maybe we should not abandon them. I don't know. Anyway, this is almost over.
And woke 2, signs and posters are not going to cut it. We need to fight tooth and nail against dog shit legislation and bully these people right back. They deserve public humiliation because those sorts of terrible ideas have no place in a functioning fair society. You should be nervous to say racist shit like this because you should know that you're going to face public backlash and turn into a pariah. Hey, look at that. Society bullied and backlashed this House rep for his anti-gay tweet, so he had to delete it like a little bitch and pretend like it wasn't him that sent it. Good. I want you to feel like a piece of human garbage for hurting my friends and family. Now, people might complain about you using
it. Let me tell you how rewarding it is to hear this kind of thing and realize that a lot of people agree with this, because this is kind of how I started my YouTube channel, was looking around, and the few responses that I could find of people talking about Comicsgate in a critical way had been bombarded. And you know, there was a couple of people that were obviously not very socially powerful in their speech, and then a couple of people that maybe at least were coded kind of red as maybe gay. And that was obviously seized on by these fucking chuds. And that pissed me off too, because, you know, those people would never make content again. Essentially, there was a few people like that. And I'm like sitting here looking at this going, I don't care if people think I'm gay. I also happen to know that despite not being great with the public, I do present as coded masculine, and I can kind of give these guys shit back. And that was really what motivated me to think that I had anything to offer as far as making content when I started. It was like, I can actually give these guys, I can, at least make them be like, where'd this guy come from? What's this about? And, to that end, seems like they almost didn't know what to do with me for the most part the whole time.
Yeah.
So
it's worth noting that what he's describing as woke 2.0 is in some ways, with some modifications, coming full circle to where people like Vosh were when they started.
That's why Vosh fucking resonated with me in the first place. And I was closet Vosh fan for several years because I saw what kind of shit would get said if you just mentioned him in a positive light. But that he was the guy that, like, obviously I knew there were many creators that I started watching in a short period of time. But he was the one that, like, he's on the spectrum. He's masculine coded like me, and he recognized that you aren't going to win anybody over by being nice to them. They're not playing respectability politics, even if they appeal to them. Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not that you won't win anybody over. It's that there are people who can't be won over like that, and you should not be trying to win those people over.
Well, what I mean is the people that are doing that, you can't win them over. Sure, maybe somebody in the audience, you can always pick somebody up, but yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking, man. And here's now Vosh is all, other than his seemingly more frequent R word use, he's mostly pretty chilled out, and that's a good thing. I think he's probably got a future ahead of him that maybe exists outside of streaming, maybe, if he wants that. We'll see how things go. But what I did notice is kind of sad is that before Vosh's fall off, before the folder, the Gunner folder, he had started doing stuff like actually engaging with like IRL politics stuff. There was a point where he went to DC, and I'm trying to remember who he had a picture with, but it was like really cool to see him there sitting with I don't remember who it was, a couple of Congress people maybe or something. I don't know.
Well, he went and he interviewed Ro Khanna alongside Emma Vigeland.
Yes, that was one thing. And like, was that before the Gunner folder, the Gunner file?
I don't know. I don't think the Gunner folder really would have had a big impact if he had not changed his behavior because of it. Right? If he had just kept doing what he was doing, I don't think it would have mattered all that much.
I don't know. I'm not saying it was all. I think some of it at least was probably inorganic and inauthentic, but I think it did. I mean, his numbers are not what they used to be for sure. Like I remember when a Vosh video clip would get, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody else notice this? Where his videos would get 3, 4, 5 times more views than just the average one now.
But what I'm saying is that in part that change is because he consciously and intentionally made changes to his content and his behavior. Maybe. If he had not done that, that wouldn't be the case with his numbers.
Well, I think if anything, I think he has. You're right, but I think broadly he's probably just in general hit that age where you start to be a little bit slower in your, you start to go more for response rather than reaction kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what tended to get him in trouble in the first place, right or wrong. And that's good because I'd said for a long time that like his biggest problem is that he's still a little bit young and he feels the need to be edgier than probably is necessary and so on and so forth. But anyway, yeah, he's a horse maxist. So what? It's fine. Let him enjoy his horse max stuff. No, if you ever look at his Twitter, he actually has a picture of a horse on his profile picture, so he's kind of embracing it. Which to me says it's not what people make it out to be. And from what my investigation of the matter, it wasn't what some people were making it out to be. The horse thing is not about real horses, as far as I could tell. It's weird. I don't get it, but it's just a art thing. I have a hard time having any connection in a sexual way to like art, right? Like, and it doesn't matter how hot something is or somebody is. It just doesn't. I don't read that.
Well, it's one of those things where like it's a bit like the have you stopped beating your wife yet question, yes. Right? Yes. Like somebody can find a file of something that's an artistic depiction of that on your computer, that you downloaded for purely aesthetic reasons or like research or whatever. But once they see it and they go, oh, you're a horse fucker. That's what you are.
I can imagine a couple of instances where that would be, something, but like maybe you and a friend just have a long running, ongoing
joke.
inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
From what I remember,
Yeah,
though,
it
I
could be
think
that.
it was
Like
a couple of, I don't know. But one thing that I did see that I was really trying to suss out if it was true or not was that any of these images depicted essentially underage characters, and because Vosh is actually the one that I remember in 2020 learning about what you call it, those motherfuckers that like that
lollies. Yeah.
And he explained it very clearly in a way that I agreed with, why it's harmful and why it's not just an innocent thing of engaging with art, because if somebody's into that, there's and I still believe that, and I believe he believes it. What I found when I looked in the file, or what could be seen of it, were anime characters. And anybody that wants to deny that anime girls are not sometimes, or even often sometimes, depicted as ambiguous in age is lying.
Yes.
So anyway,
gendered slurs like bitch or saying retard because it's ableist. And if you start using these again, I can't tell you how you're supposed to get your friends on board and explain your heel face turn if they're still stuck in 2016, especially because I never stopped saying bitch and retard, so my friends aren't confused. In fact, I first discovered the potential of dark woke when playing Red Dead Redemption 2 online. For those of you unfamiliar,
before this hilarious part of the video, I want to respond to this real quick. The reason why it's not good, even in that case, because I would have assumed that at first without thinking about it too. But it's the same reason why they don't make, there's been proposals like, why don't we make like a little real life doll that these people that are non-offenders can use to kind of stem their need to offend, because it doesn't end there with that type of whatever's broken in their brain. It doesn't stop once you start feeding it, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that eventually is just going to encourage them to,
It's a very weird social dilemma we have, because there are people with that inclination who have never acted on it. And
oh, believe me, I know. I've been accused of being a groomer for saying we shouldn't like bash their skulls in the street,
Right. That's what I mean. Like, so I remember I heard an NPR story many years ago about a program that was, it was described as, the people in it were described as people who want to hurt children, but they don't want to hurt children.
Yeah.
And there's nobody has discovered a way to treat those people that doesn't encourage them to hurt children. And it's maybe we never will, but it's such a terrible dilemma for us to be in as a society.
There's a YouTuber by the name of Slyboy. I've been checking out his stuff lately. He seems to just almost exclusively kind of target, and when I say target, I mean in a good sense. And he does good investigative reporting. His investigations are good. He's not just making accusations to be a, clout goblin, but people who are actively on the internet and openly, in most cases, pro that, right?
Yeah.
And he has gone to their communities, and because some of them will claim that they are pro contact or not pro contact, meaning, I may be this, but I don't believe that it's okay to do this to a child or whatever. There are a disturbing number of people, it seems like, who actually think that it is, and they don't even like they've these people legitimately. I thought this was kind of a right-wing psyop for a long time, but apparently this does exist, where those people, map people or pedos, whatever, offending or not, have begun to see themselves as part of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And they talk about people in reporting on their, saying, hey, this person's potentially a threat. Like, oh, they hate us because we're trans and stuff. It's like, no, fuck you. Fuck you so hard for that.
Yeah. See, that's the conundrum, right? There can never be social acceptance for that.
Right.
We as a society, we cannot allow that to be, we still haven't gotten past child marriage, for fuck's sake. But we, in the ideal society we all want to build, we can't have a social tolerance for that. But it also appears that pedophilia is as inborn to people as other inclinations might be, and
I don't
it's
know. I don't know. It's, I mean, it's hard to tell if that's even the case with, you know, from what I
that's
understand,
what
it's more
the NPR report I listened to, and then again, that's like probably 5 or 10 years ago. It's probably outdated now, but that was what the researchers were saying. It's like all the research shows that this is kind of it's as an inborn thing, at least for most people. But the conundrum is we cannot treat it like we would treat other inborn inclinations through like exposure therapy or things like that, because it would just lead to them hurting other people.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they often don't even seem to see a child as a person,
Yeah.
or they equate a child as an adult in their minds, and that's where the real, obviously, the function, the technical problem is, where it's like, and I don't know, you know, I feel like you should just be able to take somebody like that and sit them down in a room and smack them around until they understand the concepts that we're talking about here. But obviously, it's not that simple. I'm guessing. And why do I want to do violence anyway? Wasn't that my first inclination? I don't know. Probably got problems. I don't know. But yeah, it's not fun. But the one thing is for sure is that there's a specific ideology, broad, very popular, very common ideology in the United States that seems to lend itself more readily to that type of action. That is very much hierarchy based. And therefore, becomes you know, these twisted ideas of like what an adult is able to do with a child. You know, the same type of people that raise their kid to be little, you know, versions of them, to live out their, you know, regrets in life that they didn't. You know.
And it's not the woke ideology.
It's not.
I mean, yeah, and this is like, so like we live in a world where conservative evangelical Christianity, at least among white people in America, is full of churches run by old men who are screwing children.
Yep.
And nobody in the church institution is doing anything about it. And then these people turn around and accuse queer people of grooming children, which they're demonstrably not doing. And that's a legacy of the fact that we're not that far removed in history from a time when it was normal for old men to buy children from their family and marry them. Actually, that used to be a normal thing, which is horrible. But
there's another video that we're not going to watch tonight, but we might watch it on Sunday. I don't know. If Morgan's not going to be, might as well just kind of have another lazy day of streaming. There's this video that I really suggest you guys watch. I'm going to pull it up. You can go on. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, like, I think what I'm trying to say is I think we are still getting over, as a civilization, the concept that doing that to children fucks them up, because it was institutionally just what we did to children for centuries. And a lot of the conservative institutions, or conservatism, is about preserving institutions and traditions and hierarchy. And it's why so many conservatives appear to not really give a shit about a pedophilia as long as it's one of their own doing it, right? They're worried about queer people or trans people grooming children, while their pastor that they give money to is literally grooming teenage girls or adolescent girls to be his sister wives, right?
So check this channel out. I'm going to drop the link, but the quiet part, only 10,000 subs. It's a crime considering this video. At least it's got 190,000 views. American Pedopolitics, 250 years of child abuse and exploitation, an academic group. And this guy, I'm sorry that they go by they, them, I believe, but I also know that he said he doesn't really care. He doesn't get held up about it, but like, he's a teacher, a former teacher. He explains a bit of that in this video, and how he became a teacher's aide when he was pretty young, and then became a teacher whenever he was pretty young, and that you know, that plays into his view on this stuff, because he had an older teacher that he respected kind of come to him and explain what he didn't understand that age, that he was an attractive young man, and he just needs to be cautious about how he engages, because, you know, he doesn't want to ever see him in a position where, you know, he's accused of something or anything like that, or a weird looking situation or nothing like that. And so that was pretty interesting. But like, otherwise he just sits here in his field and for an hour goes through the history of this stuff, exactly what you're talking about. He talks about the first noted cases of like child abuse, and then like what terms were used, you know, stuff like that. And it seems to be that the case he makes is that we are a country that has this is wrapped up in our history as much as slavery or you know, misogyny. And that's something that a lot of people aren't ready to reckon with.
Yeah, it's not just our country. It's civilization, at least Western civilization, and other cultures have child marriage too, right? It's something. Sadly, it is something that humans appear to have been doing for a very long time, and it's a historically recent discovery that this is incredibly harmful to children, and we should stop doing it. So the momentum of conservatism pulls in the opposite direction by nature. And so none of them, I doubt very many of them think this consciously, but a consequence of doing that is that they're preserving institutions like child marriage that kind of give wiggle room to pedophiles, is socially speaking. And there are certain contexts in which someone who's clearly a pedophile will be allowed to get away with it, such as being a white evangelical youth pastor, for instance.
Yes. Because I mean, look, here's the simple fact right here. It's this.
Minors.
Okay, so the quiet part, I will drop their link, and then y'all just check that out whenever. But let's get back to the other video we're almost finished with.
With online gaming, it's a bunch of racist, shameless weirdos shouting slurs at each other because they know they're not going to have to fight you in real life.
You're a fucking fat bro. You're a fat
If you tried deploying Woke 1 in these spaces, you'd be laughed out of the server. Try telling the guy spamming the N-word that he's problematic and hurting marginalized communities. No, these toxic people require toxic measures. My friend and I dressed ourselves in choice outfits, and when encountering a racist or bigoted person, we would lynch them. And of course, bully them relentlessly.
Yeah, you think being racist is funny, boy?
Because you can't appeal to their humanity. You can only force them out of the space or make them feel like a piece of...
This is a great video, but I got to give it an F+ for missing the golden opportunity to have Aldo Reigns right there. Nazis ain't got no humanity, you know.
Well, Red Dead Redemption 2 was historically before Inglourious Basterds.
I'm talking about meme logic.
Yes.
Shit for believing their stupid, bigoted nonsense. They're probably going to triple down anyway. So give that energy right back.
Oh, you think it's hot to be racist? I'll show you hot.
Now you best not be letting us catch any of you or your friends saying that bigoted shit on our server.
Don't take the moral high ground. Capitalize on the anger and pain that they cause people in your community and vote them the fuck out of office. And make sure the people around you don't tolerate that bullshit. Much of what makes MAGA work is this cult of personality around Trump, that the machismo leader can do no wrong. He'll never admit to be...
Which is why, as Malachi explained, whenever you go on one of their propaganda defender shows like Daily Wire shit and tell Matt Walsh to his face that, hey, it's weird that you are so worried about grooming because your president is like all up in the Epstein files. And they just cut that part out and don't release that, thereby proving the point that they really can't stand anything that remotely resembles valid hits against his perceived fucking credibility.
Being wrong. So they feel secure staking their entire identity on this infallible, perfect deity. Woke 2 can capitalize on the reality that MAGA and so many of their core beliefs are the lamest shit ever. Actually, my fat, retarded, rapist president is super cool and macho. What do you mean he stares directly into the sun, is literally decaying before our very eyes, and can't complete a coherent sentence?
Just this week it was reported that an illegal
shit.
just look at this, what's happening.
You still there?
Venezuela,
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Is the video screen still visible?
Yes.
Okay, because my shit
It
just
blinked out for like a second and then it came back.
weird. Cool. All right.
Unbelievable. Even Argentina, they went MAGA. You know Argentina, great guy. He's
Great
a big
guy.
Trump guy. Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat you.
I don't know what you're talking about. Look at me, guys. I'm so smart and cool because I believe nonsense race science that makes me feel better about the fact that I'm a total fucking loser with no life accomplishments. No, guys, not getting laid and going to church is so based and awesome. It's why you see Deus Vult Crusade cringe posting from overweight basement dwellers who wouldn't fight to save their local Walmart, let alone Christianity and Western civilization. These edits are the only way it looks cool because in reality, your whole movement is made up of pathetic man children. It's important that we don't give up our principles of equal rights and justice, but we have to realize that we're dealing with people who are not fighting on those terms. The right does not care about your tone policing or virtue signaling. They don't care that DEI is about fairness and equality. They don't care. Stop pretending like they do. Treat the worst people like they deserve to be treated. And feel free to try to police me, but just know that I'll probably ignore you. By my own logic, it's the right thing to do. You think by using slurs or going low when they go low, I'm causing harm, and you should shame me into being a better person, or change society around me so that I don't have support when I do things like this. But I'll start changing my language and problematic behavior when we're in Kamala's 5th term. And you can all cancel me for calling a trans woman a queen because it's invoking royal colonialism or some stupid shit. I'm not getting to care about tone policing when my friends are having their passports revoked and their voting rights stripped away. I just want you to know that by calling that SS officer greedy, you're invoking anti-Semitic stereotypes. Don't get me wrong. If this is your family or friends, you can...
Did you catch that last part, bro?
Yeah, I did.
I'm just fucking with you. You totally.
Try appealing to their humanity first. You don't have to come out guns blazing if you think that they have empathy. But these MAGA leaders, they have had 100,000 chances to show their humanity. They don't give a fuck. You need to make them feel like shit for believing in their stupid prescriptions that make this country worse in every way. Fundamentally, woke is a reaction.
This was before he got booed at the NBA finals too. Wow. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
And then he literally said, yeah, they weren't really booing. He's like, and it's so fucking sad to see a narcissist at his age and frailty try to be a narcissist the way a narcissist normally do. It's like he can't even convincingly say the shit, you know?
Yeah.
To the ills of society. When we thought we were all on board with a brighter future, it was a lot nicer. Annoying, but nicer. But the ills of society today are these disgusting, heartless ghouls, and Woke 2 is a reflection of them. Hey, people are being purged from voting rolls, and someone showed me this tool where you can check your voting registration in 2 minutes. So double check before you vote. I promise this isn't an ad. I just want my country to not suck. Link in the description. Hey, it's the segment where I shout out a smaller channel. Oops, all ladders. Today's ladder is Film Philosophies. He has good video with a balanced take on Matt Walsh's history of slavery. But unfortunately, he also has a balanced take on Matt Walsh's history of slavery. I hope that in promoting his well-made content, he'll grow large and learn to be awful and biased towards these people like they deserve. Go check out his channel in the description. If you want to be on ladders, email me at thesoypill@gmail.com with the subject line ladders and a message with a link and what your channel is. As always, thank you to my patrons and especially my top.
Yeah. Which reminds me, we need to start getting some resources to share pretty much every stream and video about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what we just watched was an explanation of Karl Popper's tolerance paradox.
Yes.
Where you have a free society has to be intolerant of people who are intolerant, otherwise tolerance goes away. So there's a certain line you cannot cross when it comes to accepting people or accepting ideas.
Yep.
And accepting bullies and fascists and racists and bigots and being tolerant to them is going to wreck everything.
And I think that's what, like, the first Trump administration, the liberals, so, you know, broadly speaking, were the ones who believed we could get to a place of normalcy again. And I think that everybody else that wasn't a MAGA recognized this is not tenable. This is not something that we can just kind of, genie we can put back in the bottle. The only real way forward is to essentially make this shit rightfully socially unacceptable to, and not like a paper over it kind of way that it was before, but like actually give people a thorough, fundamental understanding of why these things are harmful, and basically, and how to fight against it, right? And why you shouldn't tolerate it, why you shouldn't expect people to just, they'll just go away. What people told me when I started covering chuds is like, if you just leave them alone, what are they, they're going to say their dumb shit. And it's like, yeah, they're going to say their dumb shit and continue to pull in young autistic men for a lot of it, and then older lapsed fans, and that's basically the two people that fall for that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so like, I think that one of the silver linings, maybe the only silver lining of what's happened in the past 10 years, and especially since Trump got reelected, is that they took their mask off too quickly. And now they can no longer pretend that they are anything other than just bootlicking bigots. And everybody sees them.
Make sure that it could be the greatest silver lining in the world history, or it could be the most tragic close call. But sorry, now you're in the camps kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think in many ways there's going to be, I don't want to sugarcoat it, there are very hard times ahead, and they may last a long time. But I think historically, this is the death rattle of this ideology. Once they're gone, once these people are out of power, they will never again be in power. And they know it. And that's why they're going so hard so fast. So we should hold on to that.
You know that I have concerns there, but I try not to let those be the leading vibe.
Well, like you said, you've said, I think that they've something to the effect that they will be able to seize and maintain power in completely new ways, which is true. But that's always been true. That's all. Like every tyrant has seized power with brand new technologies, and they have then been defeated by those exact same technologies. That is the pattern of history. It's just a matter of time. And we're living through the time that's going to be really hard to get through. But we will win. Someone like us will win.
I agree.
Like Jay says, there's always another asshole.
Well, yeah, it's like, and I hate to bring it back to this because I know not everybody watched this show, but The Boys. At the end of The Boys, Butcher did, and in the end, even though at first he wasn't going to release this soup-killing virus that supposedly would kill everybody that has any superpower gene, including their allies, Huey's girlfriend, everybody, right? But Butcher had become convinced that this is the only way to make sure that this doesn't become a problem again. And Huey, whenever he confronts Butcher after he realizes, he went to go do this, and he follows him and he finds him and he's trying to tell him this isn't the way to go, man. Butcher's like, no, it's the only, there's, as well as I do that there's just going to be another Homelander, down the road. And Huey's like, yeah, and we'll just have to confront him, basically what we know now. We'll have to deal with it. There's no one bullet solution to assholes in the world trying to take power. Like, it's something that as a society we need to recognize is our responsibility. And this is not all stuff Huey said, but it's kind of the vibe. It is our responsibility. We have to pay attention. That's the biggest sin that we are paying for right now, is that a lot of people, myself included, didn't pay enough attention, didn't care enough outside of our own immediate needs. And that's partly by design. They do that on purpose. But it's also a choice. So yeah, we just have to pay attention, and we have to speak out, and we have to not let ourselves relax to the point again where the fucking most obvious pants shitting fucking rapist, goddamn con man fraud is able to fucking become president twice. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Anyway.
And the reason for that is because that's what the Republican Party has always been. It was only a matter of time before somebody like Trump emerged from the Republican Party. They incubated him. He's not an aberration. And that's what the liberals of the past decade or so failed to understand. They tried to treat Trump like he's a a deviation from Republican tradition, and they'll say shit like, we have to have a strong Republican Party to have a good democracy. No, we fucking don't. And I think voters, at least, are waking up to that reality if the elections in Maine and other places are any indication. So we're going to have to drag the leadership of the party to where we are, which we may lose that fight. We have to be realistic about that, but that is the goal.
That is also true, Jaybird. Stan Egger's speech earlier in the season was very frustrating, but on the one hand, it's like it's literally on Amazon Prime and he's telling you this, but at the same time, it's like, well, at least it's on Amazon Prime telling people this. But he tells one of the characters, Mother's Milk, he's like, you realize the fight that you're fighting isn't really just about fascism or really just even about Homelander. It's like you're fighting the oldest fight, which is basically against people who want to capitalize on things, capitalism, and that there's no way that they're going to win. He basically tells them that, which makes it frustrating because it's coming from Bezos's platform. But I think it was also the writers kind of tempering expectations to a degree. Do we want to get rid of capitalism? Yeah, real bad. Are we going to throw that out if we can't do it along with throwing out the fascists? I don't think so. Fuck that. We need to throw out the fascists, and then we have a more, I guess, at least a not so immediately harmful, intending to do harm with every action that it takes, basically, environment, right? Like as somebody said, maybe it was Vosh, said before 2024 or whatever, I'd rather fight a fucking weak liberal than a fascist. You know what I mean? And that's true. Because in some cases you can get somebody like Biden to, Biden didn't do much of anything. He actually did some shit against unions, but he also legitimized unions in a couple of ways that hadn't been done in decades.
Yeah,
so that was cool.
It's easier from a left-wing perspective, is easier to bully liberal politicians into getting your way than it is to bully fascists.
Yep. Because they, as that video just said, they at least ostensibly have shame.
Yeah.
Then you might have your fucking, Gavin Newsom or whatever, who's just maybe a fucking political monster Democrat that doesn't feel shame. That may be the case. Or anybody that is still simping for Israel. But yeah, for the most part, they at least have a sense of self-preservation and weren't, and that's exactly why they're now, because they do have that. Republicans do have self-preservation, and that's why they're doing the voting thing, because shame doesn't work. But they recognize whenever they've gone too far. What I was going to say a minute ago, which to confirm or support what you were saying about Trump, I used to think that Trump was just a symptom of what happens. Like I used to think that they were the reason if you remember, were not quick to lash on to Trump originally, the Republicans, the GOP.
Yeah.
Even through his first term, there were plenty of them that, shit, half of them are in his fucking cabinet now. But there was a lot of them that were like, no, can't do it. Literally he's a Nazi. Literally he's the worst guy who's going to kill the party, all this stuff. And I thought, oh, well, at least they recognize he's an aberration or whatever. And now it's become clear that no, he's what they always were inside. Every one of them. That they were just ashamed of it. The same way that I talk about my dad was kind of ashamed and didn't want to put that hateful part of him out there too much. You know what I mean? Because he knew it was kind of wrong and he knew he would get judged for it. But then Trump comes along and says, no, that shitty thing that you have inside you, that awful, black, rotten, fucking drenched with hate thing you carry around, everybody tells you is bad. It's the best thing in the world. You just gotta fucking put it out there proudly. And then you get, Rubio, who I remember actually thinking, hey, he's not a bad Republican years ago. You know what I mean? Like I knew he was a bad, because there's no such thing as a good one, but it's like he was better than most of us, theoretically. By the way, he's completely abandoned many principles that he used to have. If you haven't ever looked at what he used to think and what he used to say compared to now, it's pretty wild.
That's because he never had any principles.
Yeah. I mean, there's a really good story that I read. I mean, it's like a journalism kind of story about the change from basically when the GOP's election machine shifted from supporting who was it? They were going for Rubio, really was the one that they were kind of backing in the first place, back in 2016, 2015, until it became clear that, okay, this isn't working and Trump is just, no matter what, he's fucking gaining. Then the GOP's political machine started shifting to support him, and some of the reporting in the behind the scenes around that. And it's pretty fucking clear that they are just defined by their fucking craven, dishonest, disingenuous, profit over everything fucking mentality. They were trying at that point, it's kind of funny to read now, but like they're legitimately trying to find a way to appeal to people in the same way that like Bernie had been appealing to people.
Yeah.
And then you remember most recently they tried that again where Trump heard the word affordability, I guess, for the first time.
Affordability.
A couple of times, and then like a few weeks later, it was like, yeah, this affordability is a hoax. It's like he couldn't even bring himself to fucking like say it in a dishonest way anymore. He just straight up says, "Oh, that's a hoax." This Democrat hoax affordability.
Yeah, like I think the best. I wish I could remember where I heard this recently. My brain is so clogged with YouTube content from work now that I just run in the background. But somebody explained it this way. The Western liberal capitalist order is obviously terrible, but it does have some redeemable qualities along historically, like civil liberties and voting rights and things like that. These are imperfect things, but we did have them. And that was the bargain working people and poor people had made with the system. They got those perks and they accepted that as the price of living under that system. And now that system is taking those things away from us. So why should we care about it anymore? And I think at the grassroots, a lot of people are realizing that.
In no context or almost no context, should you, like, for example, I've talked before about my stepfather was a literal con artist, right? Like textbook definition of an insurance con man. I don't know exactly how his scam worked, but it did. And he was proud of it most of the time. And then he would explain to me how to deal with people. Basically, he wasn't like literally giving me, here's how to scam people, but he was talking about, I guess, functionally, like what it is about people that he was proud of this shit. And I remember whenever I went to go live back with my dad in Texas after 4 or 5 years of being around that and learning a lot of shit. And then, I remember literally thinking on the ride back to Texas, like, what do I do with this shit that I learned? Like, I was thinking I was 14. And I remember thinking, okay, so I just kind of purged the shit that I think is actually bad and not good. And I use the rest as a learning, to apply it to wherever it might be fit, but I'm not going to use it against people. I'm not going to scam people or whatever. And that's held true. And I think that's kind of the same thing, right? Like you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. If a system is breaking down because it's got a lot of fucking fundamental problems and you need a new system, that doesn't mean that you can't use any elements from that previous system to do the new one.
Yeah.
It means that the fundamental problems are the fundamental problems that you have to change. And the fundamental problems with capitalism are the, exploitation of working people and the power that having amassed fucking ungodly wealth. By the way, I don't know if I said this on stream, but Elon's a trillionaire now.
Yeah. Yippee.
So, the problems that those create, absolutely get rid of them. But like civil liberties, individual freedoms, no, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have more of a mind and focus on community and collective, action and caring about other people. We absolutely should. But we should still maintain our individual freedoms. And anybody that tells you those things are mutually exclusive is lying to you.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the way that they're still trying to sell us the illusion of democracy, which has to some extent always been an illusion, but it's getting to be a bigger illusion every day where we're being inundated with, like, say, propaganda about like China or Iran and how they're a surveillance state and all this other stuff. And we're doing the same fucking thing and everybody sees it happening. So like, okay, why should we have any loyalty to our system any longer? Like from a Marxist perspective, capitalism is a historically progressive force because it's a better deal for the proletariat than what came before, which was monarchy and feudalism. But
what elements from those did we keep, if any?
I would have to look it up, but
I'm not like trying to challenge you. I was just curious.
Yeah, I would not. I don't know, but obviously something survived, right?
Sure.
But one aspect of feudalism that I think survived for a while under capitalism was that there was no necessary connection between wealth and political power. Like a king could be penniless, but the richest man in the country had to bend the knee. And that changed. That's like starting to change now.
Well, so one thing that I think that, some leftists anyway, these are people that typically have a few flags and describe as some hyphenated political ideology. Will say is that or they at least will admonish anybody who thinks that capitalism did good things. That there wasn't some positives and benefit to capitalism. There was, and it brought us out of literal feudalism. It was the system that was necessary for the time that it came about, right? There could have been almost nothing else that could have, changed the world as dramatically and brought us to where we're at. And so every scientific discovery, every, act of humanism and community and, all these things that happened just as much as all the terrible things happened under capitalism in some part because of capitalism. The competitive nature of it did create some positive things, but at a certain point, it's just not doing that anymore. And, when fucking all these mergers happening is the clearest sign of it, right? Like, you're not having competition anymore. It's just the richest fucking thing swallows everything else. And it's fucking disgusting, but I don't know. We don't have to be a competitive species, at least in a way that makes us, we're competing for survival. That doesn't need to be the way things are anymore. We have enough resources. It's a matter of distribution that we could solve if it were not for the competitive, nature of capital.
The main thing that capitalism did to destroy traditional monarchies and feudalism was invented the concept of private property, because it used to be that the land
was owned by the king or the lord.
It was owned by the king or the lord. But the positive side of that was that there were large tracts of land that were called the commons, that anybody could grow food on, or anybody could hunt on, or have festivals on for free. And capitalism invented the concept of private property, which broke the back of the monarchies, but it also started gobbling up the commons. And I
just realized we're almost 4 hours in. Goddamn, I stayed on a lot longer than I expected. That's okay. It's a good chat.
I'll just finish the sentence, which is that we see that process going on still, with the way that things that you used to own are now being turned into subscription services. Or how there's no so-called third places left for people to just go and hang out. You have to pay for everything. How social media was taken over by billionaires when it used to be like the Wild West. That's the same process that happened to the land under capitalism. It's now happening to the mental land for society.
Yeah. I got a few images I want to show chat and get some feedback from real quick as we're getting out of here. Working on modern audience logos and mascot, I guess you could say. So see what you guys think of a couple of things as we get out of here. Bob, do you want to sell the people on something?
Well, just Armchair Black Belt. Go check it out. It's a place where I overthink karate movies and getting some interesting some lively comment sections going on over there.
Yeah, I saw some of that. That's pretty funny. Welcome to the party, pal. Fucking die hard. No, you've been doing it for a while now. I'm sure you're used to it. It's just, I'll admit there's always a little bit of surprise with some of the ways that they manage to come at this shit and try to be disingenuous or just, pull you down to their level or whatever. So here's this guy. I like this guy. He's pretty great. Here's this one's also, I think, pretty fun. And then maybe the dark horse, but I still like this guy.
I like this guy too. This guy and the guy before him are my favorites.
He's just like, oh man, what? Let's get that kind of attitude that you get when you get on social media for any amount of time these days. Like, really? What? Oh god, his brain's melting. Yeah, more of a simplified version there. But maybe we'll do something like have some official voting. By the way, the actual Phantom Patreon is now gone. In its place exists patreon.com/modern audience, where you can support all the things we do here and will be doing. And it's no longer a sole me operation. Brain's your favorite. Okay. So yeah, actually go over there. You can follow us for free. You don't have to pay anything to follow us on that. But if you go over there, it's a pretty easy place for us to run polls and things like that. And it also kind of not guarantees, but it does filter out the riffraff, people that might be voting or trying to dick off, with bad faith or whatever. So if you go over to patreon.com/modern audience and just follow as an unpaid member, we appreciate that too. And if you want to go as a paid member, hey, maybe hold up a little bit because we haven't got the tiers laid out, the new benefits yet. We're working on that. But to those of you that have been supporting despite the fact that I've not posted on there consistently in months, you're champions, and I feel like I've exploited you somehow. But thank you, and stay with us, and we'll try and make it worth your while.
Yeah, the main benefit now is you can get in on the ground floor of the global parasocialist rebellion.
Yeah, where that's going to be we're gonna roll this stuff out before long, but parasocialist is a pretty good name for our community, I think. So if you feel you're gonna sign up now, hell yeah, dude. Thank you, appreciate that. So that'll be everything under the Modern Audience banner. That'll be the On Your Left podcast, which is coming up soon. I don't know, I don't mind. We of course we shouldn't talk about this on here probably, but Armchair Black Belt, if you want to include that under there, you're welcome to. And then maybe we'll do some Fapcast stuff here and there when appropriate. And then maybe I'll end up doing some video that's just my own video, or maybe one day, I don't know, we'll see. Nonetheless, it goes to a good cause, that being paying for essentially editing software and StreamYard software, whatever service and all that stuff, so that we don't have to dig in our couches to get that stuff covered. But yeah.
Yes, please sign up. Sign up now and get nothing but our appreciation.
On that note, I don't know if you guys know this, but Nerdrotic, he does understand cuties.
Nerdrotic.com. I'm here to tell you I understand what the filmmaker was trying to say with the film Cuties. I'm also here to tell you that Netflix stock is tanking a day after Cancel Netflix was trending on Twitter all day because we understand you still filmed 11-year-old girls twerking. I don't give a damn what the context is. Does that context come across if you hit the mute button? Now,
so he understands what they were doing, and yet he's also saying that they're bad for it. I don't know what to think of that. What do you think?
I have not seen Cuties, so I don't know what they were trying to say. I assume he means they're trying to condemn.
Yeah, because it was a remake of a French documentary that very much was designed to condemn pageant, children's and pageant kind of thing, and and essentially protect kids from the pretty harmful. Like, there's not only literal predators in that stuff, but then they just are training kids from an early age to be like, oh, your value is how you look. And people should be able to judge you based on that and stuff. And that's what they brought. Look, admittedly, I believe I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, they use their French sensibilities for this purpose in an American version, which was probably going to always backfire. But I also think it just triggered the exact people that it was meant to criticize, and they started making claims about it. And it became, on the right, just like a general thing where they're like, if you like this movie or you think it's good that it exists, you are a pedophile,
Yes, says the person who votes for a pedophile, war criminal, rapist.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you voted for the pedo, dude. You've defended the pedo. Just fucking Gary, you are pedo defender number 2 in my eyes after Critical Drinker. That being said, hope you all have a lovely weekend. Check us out Sunday. We'll do something, I believe. Right? Do something, maybe.
I hope so. I was asking that question earlier.
We'll do something. I think Morgan's not going to be around, but I think me and Bob will figure something out. So come back and see us sometime.
And hell yeah, almost 4 hours. That's a proper live stream right there.
It's fucking that's a trek. Had a lot of fun. Had a good chat. I'm
good memes.
I am tired. Love you all. You're all very sexy. Talk to you later.
Give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever